Good morning to all of you. We'll be starting within a few minutes. Good morning, sir. Am I audible? Thank you. Thank you. We'll be starting within a few minutes. We'll be starting within a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
This is Professor Smita Shukla. I will be hosting the program today, Director IQAC University of Mumbai. We will be starting in some time. Pro Vice Chancellor and Honorable Vice Chancellor will be joining us very soon. In meantime, I welcome all the participants. The participants today are from various, I'll say, strata of University of Mumbai positions. I welcome the members of Management Council who are present today, members of Senate, Board of Studies members, heads and directors of various university departments, then our own principals, various affiliated colleges, University of Mumbai, faculty members from the Department of University of Mumbai, as well as colleges affiliated to University of Mumbai, the research students, the students who are attending this program today, the non-teaching staff of colleges as well as university departments. I welcome all of you to this program. new education policy, which was announced and adopted in 2020. Till now, we have had several workshops and discussion sessions across Maharashtra state and entire India. However, there have been relatively few workshops in which discussion has focused on new education policy 2020 implementation. This initiative of UGC HRDC today, which is focusing on this aspect, which is focusing on discussion on implementation of new education policy 2020. We are looking forward and we hope that this will benefit the stakeholders. The new education policy is based on vision that education system in India is rooted to Indian ethos. There's also this vision that the curriculum and pedagogy that develops and is developed by various educational institutions at various universities and colleges across India, that should carry deep sense of respect towards our fundamental duties and constitutional values and obligations, and spreads consciousness that our role and responsibility is extremely important in this changing world and changing India. The ethos of new education policy and the vision document also is conceptualizing that there should be development of knowledge, which is linked to skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being. I'm sure that new education policy, as it will be implemented systematically, will be doing it all. There is also this discussion on salient features of new education policy. So when we are conceptualizing new education policy, there is this discussion on multidisciplinary approach, which is being professed by a new education policy. The discussion is that institutions across India, even if they were standalone and single faculty institutions, now have to march towards multidisciplinary approach. The universities, colleges, other institutions, they all should be focusing on this approach. There should be revamp of curriculum, there should be revamp of pedagogy, assessment systems, and there should be extension of exhaustive student support. We are under new education policy moving towards institutional autonomy and a system of governance where higher education institutions will experience independence, will have independent boards, and will have quantum and large size of academic and administrative autonomy. And all this has to be again rooted to Indian ethos. It should be based on the principle that there is access for all, there is equity, and there is inclusion. There should be such kind of program framework which increases flexibility and choice of subjects so that the students are able to choose their own path according to their talent and interest. There should be no rigid separation between arts, science, again, no separation between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams. And almost all disciplines are given equal emphasis, whether there are subjects related to science, social sciences, arts, language, sports, mathematics, other streams. There should be flexibility and independence in front of the students to choose their own path. NEP aims at imaginative and flexible curricular structure to enable and create combination of disciplines for a study that will offer multiple and multidisciplinary learning approach as well as opportunities to the students. I hope that new education policy, as it is implemented through step-by-step approach, meets all these salient features which are visualized for new education policy. There is visualization that the undergraduate degree can extend from 3 years to 4-year duration. There can be multiple exit as well as entry options. There can be conceptualization of certificate, then diploma, then degree, then advanced research degree. The students who can complete 4-year degree, and in case they have focused on research project as major area of their specialization, can also get a degree which is having a research ethos. There are plenty of opportunities which are visualized for participation in sports, culture, clubs, eco clubs, activity clubs, community service projects, etc. And the faculty, and the best which I'll say, the faculty under the new education policy will be given the freedom to design their own curricular. Sometimes this is in fact a challenge in the university system and college system, because general approach of floating of curriculum is top down. But under new education policy, once the autonomy is extended to various colleges, the top down approach will change from that perspective to a bottoms approach. The faculty will be having freedom to design their own curricular, offer it across India, even to the international markets, and build up further academic credibility of Indian education system. There is also emphasis on Lok Vidya, which is vocational knowledge and extension of the same under new education policy. Let me check with the meeting team. Has a PVC, Pro Vice Chancellor Sir, as well as Vice Chancellor Sir have joined? Okay. So we are still waiting for them. They will be joining us soon. Let me continue my this speech and interaction a little bit more about new education policy. This program which we are organizing today and is focusing on implementation of new education policy is visualized by UGC HRDC and is supported in terms of coordination by IQAC of University of Mumbai. This program was conceptualized on basis of, I'll not say directives, but on basis of this ethos, which was communicated by UGC, that there has to be preparedness across institutions regarding implementation of new education policy. And with that kind of ethos in mind, UGC HRDC, which is remarkable human resource development center in terms of its grading across HRDCs entire India. It holds rank 7th entire India in terms of its ranking among HRDC. So HRDC University of Mumbai planned this program, and this program is spread over 2 days, 18th of July, which is today, and 19th of July, that is tomorrow, with 4 sessions of discussion for the benefit of all the participants. These 4 sessions of discussions will be led by Professor Gowrisha, who is Professor and Director, Center of Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru. Then Dr. Rajendra Joshi, who is Senior Consultant at Center of Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru. Then we have as a speaker and resource person, Dr. Padmavati BS, Professor and Head, Educational Unit, Center of Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru. And then Professor Karunakar Kotegar, who is Professor and Head, Department of Data Science and Computer Applications, Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal. We are looking forward to their session, which are speaking on and focusing on critical aspects of implementation of new education policy. These aspects are 4-year degree program with multiple entry and exit. The second aspect which will be touched upon is pursuing 2 academic programs simultaneously, entwining dual joint degrees. In fact, at University of Mumbai, we have had a structure of dual degree program. And we are extremely happy that we will be able to further build upon our experience of offering dual degree program. The third session will be focusing on educational framework for global citizenship in higher education, which is in fact the ethos of new education policy. It is part of the vision document of new education policy. And the last session will be focusing on academic bank of credit and NAD, DigiLocker, which will again be focusing on a question which is nowadays discussed among various colleagues of mine, educational institutions, that how this implementation of ABC will take place. I understand, if I understand, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Suhas Pednekar has joined. So with permission of Professor K. Shanti, Director UGC HRDC, as well as permission of Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Suhas Pednekar, can we commence the program for the day?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, madam.
Shanti, madam?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you are on mute. Maybe I'm not able to hear you.
I have unmuted. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We can start, ma'am. We can start the program.
Okay, okay, madam. Good afternoon. Okay, so we will initiate the program. So once again, I extend my warm welcome, as well as I offer my namaskar, extend good afternoon to all the participants of the program today. Today is a very, very auspicious day for us at University of Mumbai. We are celebrating 166th Foundation Day of University of Mumbai. And this is also an occasion to celebrate, reason being that University of Mumbai during last week has also received its NIRF ranking, wherein in the university category, we have become 45th ranked university across India. So I congratulate all stakeholders of University of Mumbai for this extraordinary achievement. We also received our NAC rank last year, which is A++ with CGPA of 3.65, which is once again one among highest when you refer to various universities across India. I welcome all stakeholders, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, members of this Management Council, members of Senate, members and chairmen of Board of Studies, heads of various university departments, directors of university institutions, and other participants. If I understand, even Pro Vice Chancellor Sir has joined now. I welcome Pro Vice Chancellor Sir. This workshop, which we are organizing today by and is conceptualized and conducted by UGC HRDC and supported by IQAC University of Mumbai, is focusing on new education policy implementation. There are two components of NEP. One is vision. Vision we spoke about some time back, which is about creating educational system which is rooted to Indian ethos, and also a system where there is respect and awareness towards fundamental duties, constitutional values, conscious awareness of one's roots and responsibilities for meeting the challenges of emerging world as well as emerging India. And then there are several salient features. These salient features refer to creating educational systems across India which are multidisciplinary in approach, which offer flexibility in their curriculum as well as choice to the students to select their subject. There is a takeaway for all. For the students, there is an opportunity to develop knowledge, skill, values, dispositions that support their responsibility and commitment towards human rights, sustainable development, living, global well-being, etc. Teachers can benefit from the structured and focused exhaustive teachers training program, which is conceptualized under NEP, as well as they will have more independence to design their own programs and courses. Higher educational institutions are expected to benefit from the autonomy and restructuring option, which is available. Colleges, higher educational institution, and society at large is expected to benefit from creation of an educational system that is rooted to Indian ethos. Let me not say much, and let me now invite Dr. K. Shanti, Director UGC HRDC, to say a few words.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor Suhas Pednekar, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, Director, IQAC University of Mumbai, Professor Smita Shukla. Speakers for the workshop, Professor Gowrisha, Dr. Rajendra Kumar Joshi, Dr. Padmavati, and Professor Karunakar. Members of Senate and Management Council, members of Academic Council and Board of Studies, heads, directors of university departments, principals of affiliated colleges, other faculty members, my colleagues, and administrators. It's indeed a great privilege to welcome you all for this important online workshop on NEP 2020 implementation. We are very thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor Suhas Pednekar, for accepting our invitation to inaugurate this very important workshop. We are also thankful to our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, for his valuable guidance in designing this program. We are also thankful to UGC for initiating and sponsoring this workshop. Now, formulation of National Education Policy 2020 was a watershed moment for Indian education system. It seeks to reform the higher education system by providing, amongst other things, flexibility to students in terms of choice of subject and academic pathways. It also facilitates a creative combination of disciplines for study with multiple entry and exit points and also academic bank of credits. Thus, the implementation of NEP will result in a major transformation of our higher education system. However, any such major transformation is fraught with challenges. Hence, this workshop will provide a glimpse of the opportunities and challenges that we teachers will face while implementing this NEP 2020. We in our HRDC University of Mumbai, in coordination with IQAC University of Mumbai, are privileged to conduct this important workshop. Our HRDC, which has been rated as a performer and ranked 7th in the country by NAC, is renowned for the quality of its training programs. We have created excellent infrastructural facilities for training in the new center, and so far more than 22,000 teachers of higher education have been benefited through our programs. All these achievements would not have been possible but for the unstinted support and encouragement that we have been getting from the authorities of the university, the state government, UGC, and MHRD, and also dedicated coordinators and resource persons of high caliber. Professor Smita Shukla, our academic coordinator, and Dr. Prashant Naik, our program coordinator, have put in a lot of efforts for this program. And I hope this workshop will be beneficial to you. Thank you. Over to Professor Shukla.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shanti. May I now invite Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, to say a few words and brief the audience about the program.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Suhas Pednekar, sir, UGC HRDC Director, Professor Shanti, IQAC Director, Professor Smita Shukla, the esteemed speakers for today's online workshop on NEP or being organized by UGC HRDC, Professor Gowrisha, Dr. Rajendra Kumar Joshi, and all my dear Senate, AC, Board of Studies members, as well as the administrative officers, AR, DR, as well as all teachers who are attending this workshop. Let me welcome on behalf of University of Mumbai for this important workshop. My dear friends, in fact, all of us are very much eager to know more about implementation opportunities for national education policy. Really, a lot has been said about national education policies, its important features, its important milestones over the last 1 year. So lot has been said about many workshops have been organized. Now probably it's the right time to move for execution, achieve the implementation of NEP. And that is probably this workshop precisely aimed at. So as we probably on this 29th of July, the National Education Policy will celebrate its 2 years of announcement. And with that really reference, we are now required to move for the execution of National Education Policy. Friends, we are fortunate to have resource persons mainly from Karnataka, which is considered to be the first state in execution of National Education Policy as far as states are concerned. Now, really, we'd like to follow immediately for execution of NEP in line with different guidelines which has been given by University Grants Commission since last 2 years, like NEP in the beginning, then multiple entry and exit guidelines, followed by the education in multidisciplinary environment, the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, then probably talking about dual degree, twinning degree, joint degree program. Then probably just yesterday, the second phase of Common University Entrance Test was executed, which is also a part of NEP and a basic foundation for said the admission to the 4-year degree program across different universities. So with that reference, probably we would like to understand that National Education Policy promotes rigorous research-based specialization and opportunities for multidisciplinary work and multidisciplinary thinking at graduate, UG, master's, PG, and doctoral PhD level education in large multidisciplinary universities. The new National Education Policy seeks to bring in a 4-year degree undergraduate or bachelor's degree program with multiple entry and exit options, as well as probably the 5-year integrated program. And it identifies the overall 4-year or 5-year degree program with different levels starting from 4.5 and PhD program being identified with level 8. With introduction of academic bank of credit, students now can move between different universities if they need and collect credits based on their work. These credits can be collected, transferred as they acquire, as they are being acquired by the students in different universities, and probably all of them are accumulated so as to earn the final degree. In order to fulfill the objectives of expansion, access, equity, and inclusion, as well as quality and excellence in higher education, all university and college campuses need to be transformed, including our University of Mumbai, to become more holistic learning environment that enrich students with new knowledge and skills to engage meaningfully in the emerging socio-economic transformation. More importantly, the university and college campuses should nurture education and research activities that are alive to the dynamics of the society and industry in the neighborhood, and guide and support them, not just in terms of human resource, but also through relevant studies, research, and innovation on the campus and in the university at large. And this probably provides a major work being shifted to Board of Studies and academic councils, who would have to engage themselves into a design of curriculum with reference to 4-year multidisciplinary UG program, which will have a combination of baskets of different courses, whether it will be from liberal arts basket, or whether it will be from technical courses basket, whether it will be foundation courses basket, or whether it will have certain key elements with reference to Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. And probably they need to be designed in a right way so that the student can exert their own choice, whether they want a 1-year
Thank you so much, Ravindra Kulkarni sir. You're always there for guidance, and the clarity with which you express your thoughts and the way you have guided today regarding what are the necessary steps and conscious measures which should be taken by all for adoption. I appreciate and I thank you for that. May I now invite Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Suhas Pednekar to give his inaugural speech. Sir, over to you.
Very good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are, sir.
My colleague, Dr. Kulkarni, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Dr. Shanti, Director, Dr. Smita Shukla, IQAC Coordinator, and all other distinguished participants coming from various institutions. Dr. Shanti and Dr. Smita Shukla, can I give you one suggestion? And
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir.
yeah, I would rather suggest you that henceforth, whenever you have such programs, you ensure that that inauguration will not get delayed. And today, of course, there's a delays for because of me also for being late as we had our Foundation Day celebration. But my suggestion is that to try to ensure that the inaugural program is as short as possible. And our programs, I think you can call either Pro Vice Chancellor or Vice Chancellor, but then whatever is said important is already said, and then again, I mean, we repeat the same thing again and again. And we all know that how many workshops, seminars, discussions happen on NEP. So we have to select specific topics and go ahead with the discussion and interactions with the participants. So that is henceforth actually. Of course, in the virtual one, we again don't spend more time. Otherwise, in a physical mode, we are lighting of lamp and so many other aspects. But the scientific and very important workshops of this nature, we will spend more less time in inauguration. Friends, I can only say that we all are going through a disruptive era. And whatever is important today may not be so tomorrow. So we need to be absolutely careful what we understand today and what we wish to do tomorrow. NEP 2020 is the best thing that has happened to us as far as the higher education system is concerned. But as PVC said rightly, anything on paper looks good, but its result is visible only when we implement and how we implement, the spirit with which we implement and meaningful way. And that is the real challenge I think all of us have. So there are several challenges I would not like to repeat, but again, we all are aware that the 21st century problems cannot be solved with 20th century thinking. So we need to be innovative in every respect, even when it comes to implementing NEP 2020. And there should not be just simply follow something, somebody is doing that and you repeat it. So every institute, I feel, must look at their geographical area, the requirement of the students around, what sort of programs you think are important for them to be introduced, and what sort of students you want to prepare with the future challenges. So that has to be in mind. Another aspect which I would like to tell all my colleagues who are attending today, the time has come where you need to explore more and more collaboration with one another. Don't try to copy, don't try to repeat everything in isolation and independent. As you know that University of Mumbai formed the clusters and is working very well. So that cluster system has to be used in many ways, even when it comes to implementation of NEP. There are colleges in remote areas with less number of student population. So they will have real challenges. So such colleges should come forward and work with nearby colleges together, decide what needs to be done, share your good physical infrastructure, share your teachers with one another. And that's how we should go ahead. Say, for example, undergrad program of 4 years, either honors degree or 1 year of research. It is not going to be easy with some colleges where the shortage of staff. So there are several issues, and I'm sure all my principal colleagues would agree with me that the real challenge you all are facing is the recruitment, which is not happening. And without good teachers, how to implement the NEP 2020. However, we cannot grumble about the problems we face, but we need to overcome and find the solution. And that is how I said that working together is very important. As you know, that there is very beautiful South African proverb which says that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that is how, in every respect, I think the colleges should come together, discuss, also try to explore collaboration with other institutions of reputation within country, outside country, and try to solve the problem. You may not be able to implement everything in one go, but you have to make beginning. There are challenges even in calculating workload when it comes to ABC, because students will have choice to switch over from college to college and earn credits. But we have to find the solution. It may take some time for us to settle. But unless we make the beginning, we will not come across what problem we face, and automatically we'll be able to find the solution. And we also know that the great things don't come from comfort zone. We have to be restless, positive restlessness all the time. We need to stretch our limits of possible, go beyond impossible, visualize things, out-of-box thinking, and Maharashtra should lead. Karnataka is doing well, so Maharashtra should lead, and other states should take a few steps from us. So, well, without taking too much of time, I wish you all the best, all the participants, and it should be very interactive sessions, and I'm sure at the end you all will benefit out of this particular workshop organized by UGC, HRDC, University of Mumbai, and IQAC, University of Mumbai. So wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words.
And with your permission, if I leave, is it okay?
Yes, sir. May I now invite Prashant Naik, UGC HRDC, to give vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On the behalf of UGC HRDC, University of Mumbai, it is my pleasure to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Professor Suhas Pednekar sir, for his valuable time to inaugurate this online workshop on NEP 2020. We are thankful for your inspirational speech and your valuable advice. We are also thankful to the Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, for gracing this occasion and for sharing his valuable thoughts on the theme of NEP and for his continuous advice and guidance in organizing this workshop. We are also thankful to the Professor Gowrisha, Dr. Rajendra Joshi, Dr. Padmavati, Professor Karunakar Kotekar for accepting our invitation to be as a speaker for this workshop on 18th and 19th of July. We are grateful to all the authorities of university, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Finance and Accounts Officer for their unstinted help and support to the UGC HRDC University of Mumbai. We would also like to thank Professor Smita Shukla ma'am, Director IQAC, University of Mumbai, for kindly accepting to coordinate this program in spite of her multifarious responsibilities. We are also like to thank all the staff of UCC for their help. We would like to thank all the Deputy Registrar and Assistant Registrar for widely circulating the information about this workshop to all the stakeholders. We would also like to thank Management Council members, Senate members, Academic Council members, Board of Studies members, coordinators, HODs, principals, and other professors for registering in large numbers for this workshop. We hope these participants will find this NEP workshop useful. We look forward to active participation in this workshop. Thank you very much. Over to you, Smita ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naik. So now, without wasting any further time, let me move to session 1. And may I request our team to put up the profile of our first speaker. Thank you so much. I now welcome and invite Professor Gowrisha, Professor and Director, Center for Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru. Sir will be speaking on 4-year degree program with multiple entry and exit. And before he initiates his speech, it's very, very important for us to know a little bit about him. Professor Gowrisha holds MBA with a specialization in finance and marketing and MPhil in management, as well as PhD from Bangalore University. He has experience in quality management and accreditation of higher education institutions. His areas of interest include quality in education and management of NGOs. He worked as chief consultant in the Technical Secretariat Committee to draft National Education Policy, NEP 2020, headed by renowned scientist, space scientist, Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, which was constituted by MHRD, Government of India, now Ministry of Education, Government of India in the year 2017. He has served as Honorary Secretary and Treasurer of CLAMS, a Bangalore-based NGO. He has been involved in many research pursuits in area of education. He has presented and published research articles in national and international levels and conferences, and has delivered many lectures on various topics related to quality of education, innovation, in techno learning environment. He has delivered more than 75 lectures on New Education Policy 2020 at various national seminars and webinars. He is also a visiting faculty at MBA Department of Bangalore University. He is connected and he is continuously integrated with implementation of New Education Policy. May I welcome Professor Gowrisha to speak on 4-year degree program with multiple entry and exit. Welcome, sir. Over to you. Sir, are you there? Are you able to unmute yourself? May I check the, may I request the team to check? Yes, yes.
Namaste.
Namaskar, sir. Over to you, sir.
Hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. I think host has to host.
Yes, sir. We are removing.
Sharing.
Yes, we are removing
Somebody has to
the
help
screen.
me.
May I request the team to stop the share so that Professor Gowrisha can start sharing his screen. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
I think it is. My presentation is visible on the screen.
Yes, sir, it is. You can put it in presentation mode.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot for inviting me for this discussion on National Education Policy 2020.
Gowrisha.
Sir, may I request you to put it in presentation mode? Right now, we can see the screen, your PPT, but it is not in presentation.
Is it fine now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think somebody is cross talking. Okay. Yeah. I'm happy to be part of this program to discuss on the 4 years. I think right from 2019, or when the draft policy released, that from that day to till today, lot of discussion is happening on the national education policy. Very recently, last 12 months, I think higher education institutions, universities, and also some of the regulatory bodies like UGC continuously working on framing the strategies, framing the guidelines, draft regulations from the point of view of implementing the policy effectively at the national level. I think in that respect, UGC has released many draft documents, guidelines and regulations for the public feedback. I think in the days to come, we are going to have all these documents as our guiding documents for the framing our own curricular structure, academic framework for our own universities and colleges. Yeah, let me not getting into the principles and what is this all about NEP. I think Most of you have attended many such seminars and programs on national education policy. I think very beginning of this session, there was a small presentation also on the NEP 2020 by the madam. Let me get slightly into the topic that I have to deliver today for next 30-40 minutes. This is the scenario today. The nature of work is changing, and I think every 3 years or maximum 5 years, the profiles of the jobs are changing in the market. The requirement of skills, it is fast changing. Now the focus is on the 21st century skills. There are many references in the NEP document. It is not just academia is talking about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. I think the society, the industry, the government, public sector, everybody is thinking towards multidisciplinary. Whether labeling it as multidisciplinary or not, the very approach for problem solving, how to make strategies, develop policies, all the stakeholders are actually after multidisciplinary approach. And the very interesting thing for me is the changing profile of the learners in the present context. And when we look at the NEP document, it is not just we have to think about. I think we need to more think about the future. What are the challenges that we are going to come with respect to our own economy, with respect to our societal developments and changes that is going to happen in the industry level. I think all this will give a lot of insights for us to develop our framework for implementation of NEP. Yeah, there are many aspirational ideas in the NEP document. But finally, when it comes to the implementation, we see a lot of challenges. If you look at the entire NEP document, there are 3 important changes, transformative changes. Structural changes, regulatory reforms, and the third one is holistic and multidisciplinary education. So today we are discussing on the last one, that is holistic and multidisciplinary education. How to make it a reality by considering all the operational challenges so that we can make our entire education system face the challenges of the world and make our students better citizens and contribute towards the national development. So if you look at the policy, I think these are the critical things that I talked about, the very approach towards education. I think even the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Honorable Vice Chancellor, they have spoken about this. The very approach towards education needs a lot of changes. We have to come out from the watertight compartments. There are a lot of blocks in any university, in any college. There are many blocks: science block, humanities block, commerce block. It is completely blocked. We need to come out of that. That is the need of the hour. Let us identify that and let us appreciate that. There is the need of the hour, and how to bring that approach in our 4-year undergraduate program. And the question comes because even if you look at the policy document, it talks more on the 4-year undergraduate program. Because for majority of the students, I don't have the exact statistics with me right now. I think probably more than 80% of the students, I think this is the terminal degree. So after their undergraduate program, they will not continue with their education. Either they will go for some employment, or they will do their own initiatives. They start their own business organization, something like that. By and large, it is a terminal degree. For the first degree is a terminal degree for majority of the students. If it is possible to give a very holistic nature of education to these students, I think the very purpose of higher education will serve. That's the whole idea of bringing a lot of importance for undergraduate program with a holistic and multidisciplinary approach. And I think the very critical thing is when we talk about 4-year undergraduate program, how to bring this multidisciplinary education into our general higher education. Because right from the faculty, the entire academia, including students, they're very passionate about their own areas. I am science, I'm physics, I am from commerce, I am from sociology department. I think this kind of an approach is there. So if some of the reputed institutions or premier institutions or some of the faculty who are well versed with the liberal arts approach of education, I think they are taking this. But I am talking about the mass section of the stakeholders, because the past experience with we are working now. So I think that system is not allowing to go for any kind of multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary kind of approach. So I think last 20 years, a lot of development happened throughout the country. There are many transdisciplinary and interdisciplinary courses have been offered in many of the universities. But still, the moment we come to the discipline, we restrict ourselves to our own area. So I'm a management professional, I'm a commerce lecturer, I'm a student of economics. That comes automatically. How to make these courses multidisciplinary is a big challenge. And bring that holistic element. I think the very nature of education, all the universities in India, some or the other way, they are holistic. They have all the components of education, whether it is sports, co-curricular, extracurricular, NSS, NCC, skill development. I think these days, many people are talking on the skill development. I think most of the universities have their own courses with regard to skill development. But the challenge which I am perceiving is how to integrate this. I'll give one example of skill development. I have seen many of the institutions, the skill development happens simultaneously with the courses. But it is not happening in an integrated way. So all the skills as a separate course, they have been teaching in the universities and colleges. There are exceptional cases. There are extremely good universities and colleges are there. They are doing wonderfully. But if you look at the very larger picture of it, I think most of the institutions which are offering skill, they are offering it separately. Even curricular, extracurricular activities, there are a lot of such opportunities in the universities today. But how to bring all this into the mainstream of education? Can a student think of his or her professional life, career development, along with pursuing a passion? Can he learn something that is for life beyond the profession, that he can use it, or that will help him to face a lot of challenges in personal life in addition to professional life? Can the student pursue his or her passion, or passion towards drama, passion towards music, passion towards sports? So I think it has to be in an integrated way. The challenge is how to integrate this, how to bring all this in the mainstream of education. I think, and the third one is the moment we get into the 4-year undergraduate program as per the NEP structure, there are a lot of there are 3 levels of exit before the students complete the 4-year of undergraduate program: first year, second year, and third year. What is the recognition, or how to bring the recognition for this certification at each exit point? Fourth one is designing the program with flexibility, with lot of academic choices for the students, whether it in terms of streams or in terms of subjects or the courses. The NEP talks about basket of subjects, and can the students make their own portfolio of subjects and get a degree? So all this thinking is there. So how to design a program with lot of limitations which many of the universities in the country are operating, whether in terms of resources or in terms of the learning community within the university. So how to design this 4-year undergraduate program? I think that's the very important aspect that we are discussing today. The fifth one is, I think already we got a solution for this: credit accumulation and transfer, etc. ABC is a solution, but still challenges are there. How to go with this ABC system? How to adopt? It is not just a technological challenge. I think there are many bigger challenges that we are going to face. Yeah, we are there to face it. Anyway, but that is one important aspect. Sixth one is operational challenges. I think this is there. Whether after the complete NEP implementation, if you ask again the academia or any academician for that matter, so these operational challenges, everybody will definitely put it in front of the house. So even after 20 years, 2040, if you ask, these operational challenges will be there. But anyway, because unless otherwise we address at this moment these operational challenges, we can't move ahead. So all these things are there. Remaining two are very critical for me, or according to me, very critical. One is developing this entire ecosystem. Faculty has to accept this idea of multidisciplinary, and colleges has to accept this all multi-entry exit options. Students must get exposure to these different new avenues which they are getting now, and parents also must be ensured that nothing is going to happen negatively with their wards. So I think this building system will give us a lot of inputs in terms of regulation, maybe even to some extent resources. But finally, this larger stakeholders of education, they need to see that is a challenge. And I think very importantly, I think every university will definitely work on the multiple entry exit 4-year undergraduate program structure. They work out, they design programs, they bring the best of the best resources, content, they use innovative pedagogy, they do a lot of research. I have no doubt about this. But I think the very important responsibility for all the higher education institutions, very specifically universities, is building this ecosystem, taking all the stakeholders together, inform them, and ensure that what are their aspirations are there must be fulfilled through the implementation of NEP. I think that's the very important aspect of this whole changes that we would like to bring in our education system. The last one is faculty development. Maybe I was hearing to somebody, and also I'm aware of the fact that Mumbai University is one of the leading university in the country with a lot of accreditation and rankings. There are many institutions, not only universities, there are many colleges in the remote areas, in the villages, in the backward areas, small colleges. They are working with a lot of challenges. So there are many faculty members are there. The large number of faculty are there in these widely distributed institutions. How to upgrade them? How to train them? That's the biggest challenge. So I think unless otherwise we train the faculty members of colleges and universities, we can't getting into the effective implementation of NEP. So I think in the letter and spirit, what we call normally, so that will happen only through the contribution of faculty. So I think these are the challenges that we definitely going to face in the days to come. Yeah, then let me not discuss about this. All of you are aware of these exit points. So certification at the first level after completion of 1 year. Secondly, after completion of 2 years of study, diploma. The third year, student can exit with a bachelor degree, undergraduate program degree. And if he completes 4 years of bachelor program, then he gets honors degree. And there is an option for students to do honors degree with research. If they take a research project, rigorous research project in the final year of their 4-year undergraduate program, then they get a degree with research, and it has an advantage. So the students who are getting into the degree with research, after completion of their honors degree with research, they can straight away get admission to the PhD program. At the same time, as per the recent UGC guidelines, draft proposed guidelines and regulations, so students were able to score 7.5 CGPA score in first 3 years of their education, undergraduate education. Only those students are get the opportunity to join for the honors degree with research. So this condition is there. So this is the structure proposed in the NEP, more or less as it is. Even the UGC, I think Government of India adopted, and UGC has framed a particular framework for multiple exit and entry. We will see the other dimensions of it. So students can definitely exit at each level. After first year, he can take the certificate, and let us understand the spirit behind this and why this. Let us understand that this is the 4-year undergraduate program. It is not a certificate program. It is not a diploma program. It is an undergraduate program. Option is there for students to get a 3-year bachelor degree or a 4-year honors degree, but basically it is an undergraduate program. So we need to design the entire program as it is a 4-year undergraduate program. So students have an option for various reasons. I think normally in every institution, 5% of students will exit for various reasons. So we need to recognize their learning for 1 year, and can we give a kind of a certification which helps them to do some kind of a job or to make their livelihood to some extent, or at least it is a recognition for completion of their 1 year of learning at the higher education. So today we don't have. So once we are able to come out with this kind of program, they get certification at each level. So this is the whole idea, and it is not a certificate or diploma program. And we must be very careful in designing the entire program, because so far we would like to see the entire outcome of the program at the end of 3rd year or at the end of 4th year. But now we have to work towards a specific outcome at each year. If I am giving a certificate after 1 year, how to give value to it so that the stakeholders recognizes it. Basically, the industry and other market forces recognizes it. Or it is a diploma. So what's the value for this diploma? So I have now a lot of responsibility to work towards designing these programs, and which has to have a certain kind of specific outcomes at each level, at each exit point. So students can exit at any year between the throughout this period, 1st year, 2nd year, 3rd year, like that. But so they are permitted to take a break during this 4-year undergraduate program. So only thing is, but they have to complete their entire degree program within 7 years. So they should complete within 7 years, should not exceed 7 years. And at the same time, they are permitted to re-enter within 3 years. Whichever level they exit, they have to come back and join and complete their program within 7 years. But when they can re-enter within 3 years. So these are the clauses are there in the latest UGC document on the credit framework, curriculum and credit framework for 4-year undergraduate program. This I will not talk about the PG and beyond. Now the very question, I think we need to get into this, how to build this multiple entry exit, because I have raised a few questions in the beginning of my session. So how to make it multidisciplinary, holistic, credit transfer, pedagogy, or what is that content, curriculum. So I think we need to discuss more on all these issues. So the very approach towards the undergraduate program and even beyond that, it is multidisciplinary. Exposure to many disciplines, deep study in 1 or 2 disciplines, and very important, it is not just introducing different disciplines to the students and make them to understand the relationship among these disciplines, which is very critical. So students will definitely get a good exposure of different disciplines, related or unrelated sometime. And also they get good knowledge about or with a research exposure in one particular discipline, advanced skill, etc. But to make the entire 4-year undergraduate program with multidisciplinary approach to useful to the students is only when they are able to understand the relationship between or among these disciplines. if I have to solve a particular problem, then which are the ways I have to look into this problem? How I have to approach this problem? And sometimes even these problems are not defined properly. We don't know about it. Or sometimes even we don't know the problem exactly. So to approach this and also provide alternative solutions, so how they have to think. So basically, this is making the students think in many dimensions, which is very essential for both their professional and personal life. This is what we need to keep in our mind while developing the undergraduate 4-year program. And it must be holistic, because NEP said very clearly, no hard distinction among the discipline is one thing. Second one is, what is that we have today, curricula, co-curricular, extracurricular, everything must be integrated into the mainstream of education. So how to bring this co-curricular, extracurricular, how to give scope for the students to earn some credits on pursuing their passion, joining some NSS, NCC, or getting into the sports, how to accommodate this, and how to integrate with our main structure of 4-year undergraduate program. The very recent document says NSS, NCC kind of an extracurricular activities must be made compulsory, but if not able to provide credit, is fine. I think we must give credits to some of these activities to make it is more interesting to the students and part of their final certificate what they get from the institution or university. I think it must be integrated and with credits. Skill and vocational, yeah, there are different types of skills. Something related to profession, basically we call vocational skills, and there are many skills which are very important for every student, not only for student, for all of us it is required, what we call life skills. So how to provide these skills and vocational education in a very integrated manner to make the entire program holistic. And I think it's the responsibility of academia to build that sensitivity towards society, environment, constitution, and many other issues. I think these are all the components we must bring in our undergraduate program. The moment we think about curriculum, it is not just designing of programs, allocating the credits, and prepare the syllabus, and prepare a list of references. It is beyond that now. So we need to have scope for all these activities, including skill development, and how to bring these, how to develop courses on this, how to provide credits for this, and how to integrate this and give it to the students. See, it is my experience with the choice-based credit system, where in some part of the country, some states, they had given this as part of choice-based credit system. They had given this open elective kind of an option to the even PG students. Most of I think they had given a good number of choices for students. But finally, what happened? Colleges, because of their own restriction limitations, they have restricted the number of choices. That is also fine to some extent. At least they have given 4 or 5 choices for the students. Finally, students have not taken it very seriously at all. Giving that flexibility is at one-sided, but the very important thing is exposing them to the other areas, which is very critical in today to make them very contemporary and face the challenges of today's market and the society. Students never understood this. So the open elective courses are just like a course, and in many universities, they have lightened this with a lot of exemptions in case of assessment, etc. So I think even if you bring the different disciplines together and offer a course, students may not value it properly. So this is a responsibility of a curriculum builder now. Whatever the courses, whichever the courses I am going to add, whether it is on the core discipline, what we call major, minor, or it is any other, make it as a multidisciplinary, which are the courses I'm going to add from different disciplines, or it is skill development. I think the responsibility of the curriculum builder now, every university, board of studies or whatever that you have as a structure, To see that, students should see in totality. So they might say, this is complete my structure. So everything is important for my own development. I think that kind of an impression your curriculum must provide. So that's the reason we need to discuss a lot academically to how to make this multidisciplinary holistic. That's the reason I said it is a challenge. And if these are the things most of you know who are following the UGC latest guidelines and documents. They classified the subjects or the different categories of courses like this: disciplinary or interdisciplinary, major, minor, ability enhancement courses, languages basically, skill enhancement courses, value-added courses to build sensitivity towards our own history or economy, environment, society, etc., and the research component. These are the components which we are now able to get from the draft curriculum and credit structure, which is not finalized. So this is still in the draft stage. Basically, if you look at this, major, minor, these are the two very discipline specific. So major is actually to get a deeper insight into one particular discipline, to get that kind of a strength in that particular discipline, to become to make the students very strong in discipline, so that they can apply it in real life. So that how to give that kind of a strength to students, that is basically major, deeper understanding of the one discipline. Minor is basically sometimes a related minor. It goes with the major, but which is very essential. So that kind of minor we can the student can think of, or unrelated minor, which is also possible. So to pursue my passion, I can take a different. For example, I can take something in science and also something in fine arts. So unrelated kind of minor, or I can get into the vocational area. So that kind of minor. So that is possible. And very important is even courses from other disciplines. There is an opportunity also in the latest document. The student will be exposed for the first year, 2 semesters, the different disciplines in social science, commerce and management areas. They will have certain kind of foundational courses, and it will make the students to make a proper selection or a proper portfolio of their own major, minor, etc. Giving that kind of an exposure. It is not just end there that they take some kind of specialization, etc. It is basically to build that perspective among the students, how they have to approach a particular situation, problem, issue, and then think from different dimensions, apply the disciplinary knowledge with appropriate skills, and finally come out with some kind of solution or answer. So I think that's the whole idea of bringing these other disciplines. So there is an option to bring the different discipline in the first 1-2 semesters, first year of the undergraduate program. The student will slowly getting into the major, minor. And I think other areas like languages, which are very important component of not only higher education, throughout the education, it is very important component. So then skill enhancement courses. I think we need to think a little bit about this, how to bring this element of skill. Is that like a separate course or integrate with the core courses, or it can be a pedagogical approach sometime that makes the students learn better the skill components of it. I think, but there is a scope for some specific skill enhancement courses. And then finally, value-added and research. So students will be given a lot of such opportunities with a lot of flexibility to make their own subject or course portfolio or design their own program based on their life goal. So they can getting into the degree program and develop their skill, which are very essential. So I think a lot of such flexibility has been given. Let us look at this kind of flexibility. You know, this multi-entry exit. One is certification, diploma. I'll come to that part a little later in a couple of minutes. But even flexibility has been given for students to take this either one major or double major, or they can getting into the interdisciplinary programs and either disciplinary or interdisciplinary minors, and even the separate stream, minor stream related to vocational education. So all such possibilities are there. Universities can think of all this. Definitely UGC will give a framework with the credit structure, everything fine. But I think this time I'm very optimistic that university, the UGC will not become very rigid on all this. It gives a basic framework with higher education qualification framework and the credit structure, and every university can, as an autonomous academic body, can definitely do a lot of innovations, lot of research, and they can come out with their own programs. All such possibilities are there. You can give single major, double major, or a very interesting kind of minors can you bring, or this interdisciplinary approach can be brought in most of the cases. So I think how to design all this, how to think innovatively to make new courses of undergraduate program. I think that's where every university or board of studies needs to work. One thing is, I think it is very important to log out first from the existing system to some extent, and then log in fresh with the new way of looking into these programs. I think the very best approach. So everything will be in our inbox, no, absolutely no problem. But you log out and then log in. I think that's make us to think afresh and develop a curriculum. I think many of these words, jargon can also be changed according to the required context. So what is that requirement of the today's world? And what is the progressive curriculum? First year to second year to third year to fourth year. So this is very clear in NAP also, why they have made it the program to 4-year program. And every year certification, diploma, how to give value for it. And what is the level they need to achieve in terms of skills and knowledge components. What type of competencies needs to be built at what level at each year of education. So this gives a perspective towards that. At the end of first year, student must be able to solve well-defined problems. So that means our courses, our skill development, all other components must have this aim. So they know the problem, it is defined problem, they know the different dimensions of the problem. So it gives an ability to them to solve this defined problems. The second year, we give diploma. It requires much more higher order of thinking as well as the skills. So ability to solve broadly defined problems. But they need to get into the specifications, and also they need to look at the different alternatives. In many dimensions, they need to think, then only they are able to give some kind of solutions. So our designing of second year program must be towards that. At the end of third year, it is basically ability to solve the complex problems. There is no proper structure to that problem. You have to do a lot of analysis. They know only the issue, but where is exactly the problem may not be knowing to the students. So in such scenario, what type of skill they have to use, how to apply the disciplinary knowledge. I think that kind of a courses structure we need to develop in the third year of the program, so that students will be equipped with some kind of skill and also knowledge component, so that they can approach this complex problem with a lot of confidence. The fourth year, of course, giving a real-time experience and exposure to the students. So they will be in the internship and they will work on the research projects. So that gives a lot of connectivity. For example, it's a kind of a finishing school. They will have advanced knowledge. They now try with the research projects or internship, how to apply it, connect with the industry, connect with the market, connect with the society directly, and decide their future path. Shall I get into the further research, further education? Shall I go to the PG, or shall I go to continue with the research work? Or can I go for my own entrepreneur? Can I go for my own venture, become an entrepreneur? Or just go to the some industry or some kind of public or private sector job. So they must be able to decide on their own by the end of the 4th year with the required information, knowledge, and the skill. That's the whole approach. I call it as progressive curriculum. I think this picture will give a better understanding of what I said. So we start with all multidisciplinary, exposing them to the different disciplines, related or sometimes unrelated. They can decide on major, minor, etc. with this 1 year of their period. Because at the end of 2nd semester, they need to decide on their major, minor, change. There are a lot of options for even change their major, etc. So in the first 2 semesters, there will be a lot of common courses. So ability enhancement courses, skill enhancement courses, etc. Value-added courses. And when they move to the 2nd year, they'll be more into the disciplinary courses. Major, minor, they need to earn so many credits. Lot of courses they need to study under the major and minor. That is 2nd year and 3rd year. And possibly we can give an internship opportunity also and some kind of social engagement. All this possible in these 2 years. And the last year, that is the 4th year, 7th and 8th semester, the student continue with the program to get a honor degree or a research degree. So they will have to study the advanced courses. And they have to go through a rigorous research project, dissertation of good number of credits. They need to spend a lot of time in acquiring those skills and the knowledge, application of it in real life situations, or at least in the lab situations. So they will get that in-depth knowledge of the subject. So that value for honors degree will be there. So this is the approach from the 1st semester to 8th semester. Multidisciplinary courses to very focused specialization areas when they come to the PG program or research program or beyond. So this is the whole approach for the curriculum development we need to keep in our mind at the Board of Studies when we discuss and develop the curriculum. These are some of the things which all of you can have an access through the UGC website or some other sources. So let us understand that for each level there is something called, for each qualification there is something called levels. National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So embedded with this skill framework also. So it is level 5 now. I think very recently UGC made it 4.55, 5.56. This is a structure given for undergraduate program. So that means if the student complete the first year UG program, he must achieve the level 4.5 competencies. So this is basically understanding and exploration period. So students will be exposed to many disciplines, and there are certain core things very essential for any student for that matter. He will be given some skills, life skills or basic technical skills, etc. So that the certificate will have a value. It will be suited for some appropriate levels of jobs or something like that at the outside. He will be with that kind of competencies with little understanding of the disciplinary knowledge. So that's the very first level at the higher education. So as per NHEQF, this is level 4.5. Then accordingly, more focused approach. We will get into the major, minor, specialization areas, make the subject portfolio, lot of choices, decide, then integrate with skill, etc. I think that's the more focus and immersion kind of an approach. This is level 5. So then come to the real-time learning, in-depth understanding of the subject knowledge. So these are all level 5.5, and then level 6, deeper concentration, better understanding of the entire discipline, and also know how to apply it with the research. So I think this is the very credit structure given with the proper objective, with the proper certification, and at the same time competent for in terms of competencies, students must achieve certain levels. This is very specific, so that students can have that kind of competencies when they complete their undergraduate program. This is the credit structure. I think most of you know, this 160 total credits is required distributed among many categories of courses. It is not hard and fast. I think the universities have some kind of flexibility to work on all this. I think this is important. So we have this UG certification, diploma, degree. The very approach is to build the students a T-shaped professional. What is that T-shaped professional? Deep insight, understanding, knowledge about at least one discipline, and exposure in many disciplines to build that perspective among the students and developing the boundary crossing competencies. All these life skills, professional skills, vocational, what we call, I think we need to build this T-shaped professional. So at each exit, it has a meaning and some level of understanding, some level of competency development is required. So this is what the very requirement we need to keep in our mind. I think 21st century skill we need to develop through this undergraduate, 4-year undergraduate program. I think today we are concentrating more on ways of working, tools for working. More importantly today, ways of thinking, skill for living in the world. We must integrate the 21st century skills in our teaching learning process. So curriculum must give scope for all this. The moment we say curriculum, so it has all the components. It is something about content, it is something about pedagogy, something about assessment. I think we need our approach should be towards that. So when we develop curriculum, we must have all the components of curriculum. It is not just some kind of a program structure, syllabus, and specific references. So I think it is beyond that now. So NEP emphasizes on the outcome-based education. We must clearly define the learning outcomes. This is very important to make all our courses more realistic. And every faculty will be knowing that for what I am teaching, what is the basic outcome I can expect from the student for which I have to develop all this pedagogy, content, etc. From that point of view, and also finally, if any students complete any program, any program in any disciplinary or in multidisciplinary approach, he must also see that I'm confident of all these competencies which developed in me over this 4 years of undergraduate program. So I think that's the whole objective of integrating outcome-based education. See, these are the things I'm not getting into the details because this is the approach we need to consider. These are some of the very critical things that we must consider while developing our curriculum. It is not just spelling out the outcomes. I think it's an entire system we need to develop within the university and colleges. So what the students should be able to do, the very purpose of outcome-based education, we must keep in our mind. Curriculum, learning, teaching, learning approach, pedagogy, then assessment must follow the very system of outcome-based education. And finally, our assessment should ensure that these outcomes students are able to achieve these outcomes. I think that kind of a robot system we need to develop over a period of time. So it's just a beginning. So curriculum, 4-year undergraduate program, pedagogical approach is also very important. Lot of scope for e-learning, experiential learning, make the students independent learner. I think we need to move towards learner-centric approach. Assessment, I will not discuss much about the assessment. I think we need to get into the formative assessment system. So each level exit point is there. So it should give the confidence to the student. When he exits with a certification or a diploma, he must go with a lot of confidence to the outside world. So what is that learning happened in 1 year? He must be able to use it. He must be able to demonstrate it. Whether this assessment system gives that kind of an opportunity or it gives that scope to the student to get that kind of a confidence from the undergraduate programs, I think that is very important. Let us understand from the student point of view, assessment is everything. We will talk about outcome-based education, objectives, curricula, pedagogy, etc. Finally, if you ask the student, you prepare for most of the students I'm talking about. There are many good students who think about career, etc. But most of the students, they think about examination. So what they expect for examination? That they study, that is their curriculum, that is their content. So for students, it is examination. So we need to work a lot on the develop some strategies for continuous formative assessment. So finally, another challenge which I pointed out in the beginning is aligning all of our undergraduate programs with the Academic Bank of Credit. All eligible higher education institutions will be part of this ABC. UGC also had issued a letter towards this to become part of ABC. I think whatever that we work out, we must be aware of what is happening around us. I think Vice Chancellor said very clearly, we can't do all this in isolation. We must be aware what's happening in different parts of the country, how they are working, and with lot of discussions, involvement of stakeholders. If we are able to come out with an undergraduate program, aligning into the ABC, that helps to the students for seamless transfer, getting credits from other other institutions, all this possible. And every institution, autonomous college and universities, they must have some kind of a strategy inside the institution to encourage the students to take the courses, some of the courses in other universities and institutions. At the same time, you also have the opportunity to offer these courses to the students from other universities and colleges. I think on this you have a session during your workshop. So I think we keep in our mind that whenever we develop the 4-year undergraduate program, it must be aligned with the ABC requirement. Then these are the happenings. You must be aware of what is happening around us. Central government or the UGC or the other bodies are working very seriously and coming out with a lot of guidelines and draft regulations. We must be aware of all this so that we can work. There are many pioneers like Karnataka has initiated with the existing regulations, what best possible they can provide it to the students community. They have developed it, and accordingly Karnataka came out with its own structure with lot of importance to multidisciplinary through open elective system with lot of choices, and they have adopted the multi-entry exit system within the possible available present regulations. But I think many of central universities are working on their own under 4-year program. Yeah, we get a framework, National Higher Education Qualification Framework, credit structure, but now every university has an opportunity. If you look at the NEP, it gives that autonomy to every institution to think innovatively and come up with the courses with the within the larger framework. That's a wonderful opportunity. All the universities, faculty members are getting. We need to make best use of this. So in the sense, we suggest normally every institution must become NEP ready. So how it is possible? Aware the very spirit of the NEP we must understand. Strategically, we need to approach. So we need to have an action, prepare our own institutional development plan, roadmap. You need to prepare for next few number of years. Let us understand. NEP has a time. Please understand. No hurry, but we need to initiate somewhere. This is the time to do that. Work on. We need to prepare a lot. There is a transition period. I think many of us will have a lot of challenges during this transition period of next 3 to 5 years. I think then it will become automatically a routine for all of us. So then when we start the implementation of our own roadmap, action plan, transition plan, etc., I think we'll be a ready institution for NEP implementation. So a lot of capacity building is also required. That's all from me on the presentation side. I'm open for questions, and then finally I'll conclude my session. Madam, over to you. Madam, I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are. I was not able to unmute myself.
Okay.
There was some delay.
I'll take a few questions as per the time available.
Just give me a minute. We have collected the questions. I will be starting with, in fact, there are a number of queries which have come through.
I'll try my level best to answer.
Question let me take is that of Maithili. She is asking, are we going to implement this concept of degree program being extended to 4 years from year 23-24?
Yes, that
Yes,
is the goal. That is the goal to start at least from 23-24 academic year. with the support of all the universities in the entire country. There are on the experimentation basis, some of the states and some of the universities they had gone ahead and they have started last year itself. But under the present guidelines, some of the universities are starting this year, this academic year they have started. But the very target goal is to start this kind of concept or the framework from the coming academic year.
Okay, thank you so much. So next question has come from Swat Larkar Dongre. The person is asking, will this NEP be implemented directly at higher level? I think what he means is higher education institution and their related programs, or will it start from high school and gradually come to colleges, or as a direct cut over 4-year degree program? So I think what he's asking is, how
Correct.
are implementation steps being planned and looked at? Yeah,
simultaneously, government is thinking to implement the NEP at school level and higher education level.
Yes.
We can't wait for next 15 years to implement NEP at the higher education level. So from the coming academic year, positively, we will start implementation of NEP with the 4-year undergraduate program at the higher education level.
Let me now put next question, which has come from Indrayani Joshi. She's asking, it's difficult to predict manpower requirement in this highly flexible system. So, sir, what are your thoughts? I think this is a very valid question and concern for the colleges as well. Yes.
Correct. Yeah, I think most of the colleges will have this problem, or universities also. See, one thing let us understand, flexibility doesn't mean that you will have every option to do so. So with a larger framework, if you are able to offer that in your colleges, I think students will definitely benefited, and with a lot of thinking they will take those courses which are available in the option list. Number 2, of course, you will have challenges of people management or the prediction of how many number of faculty you required and other resources also. One thing is, you have core faculty members, what you call full-time or something like that. In addition to that, always there is some kind of a need to bring the specialists to teach some of the courses, keep that option open. And other than this, you don't have any other idea, because I will not suggest go for some part-time or some visiting. That is happening everywhere because of the shortage of faculty. That's a big challenge. Every university is also facing. But for colleges, at least, most of the colleges, they have faculty, etc. I think you need to keep some kind of space to introduce the specialists in the areas or people who are in that domain, who are working in the domain. I think keep that option open. Rest of the things is basically related to your own disciplines. So I think some of the college, I think one is every college to become multidisciplinary. So they need to have the faculty members in different disciplines. This is the second answer. Third is most appropriate answer, very idealistic answer. I think, but even the very recent document of UGC says higher education cluster, how to transform every institution into multidisciplinary institution. In that context, they have suggested, even it was there in the NEP document, higher education cluster. So when any institution which comes under a particular higher education cluster, lot of resources sharing should happen. That means faculty can move to one institution, another institution, or some kind of a arrangement among these cluster institutions will definitely solve your problem of manpower. I will not call manpower. It is basically bringing that knowledge component or faculty who has to deliver the things. So this kind of a very cooperative environment within the cluster will definitely solve this problem to a greater extent.
Sir, thank you so much. Next question is connected to what was last question like. So there's this question which is asking again from Swati Thakkar Dongre, what will be the workload bifurcation among teachers will there be no departments? And may I also take another question which she has written in the chat. Will the master's course be of 2 years or 1 year? So what I think concern is, will there be any department concept remaining when we have this multidisciplinary approach? How the role of the teachers will be bifurcated, and basic concern related to the time period of master's program?
Yeah. Definitely disciplines will be there. I will not get into that discipline. Very conceptually, I will not get into that discussion now. But your question is, your discipline will be there. If you are a statistics professor, your statistic discipline department will be there. School, if some institutions, they follow school concept. This will continue. See, the NEP talks about bringing all these departments together from the point of view of learner and what is the required things for the present day market or environment or society or economy. So we need to bring all disciplines together. It doesn't mean that remove all this department, remove them. This what is that watertight compartment, we have to come out of that. So bring these disciplines together and develop the program. Now, for example, sociology department will sit and they will prepare their own program, sociology program. That is not a good idea. Now, university-wide, different departments have to sit together, work out a program synergetically, where arts, humanities, science, commerce will come together and develop the program. Even the delivery, there are a lot of give and take. Science people have to come and teach in the commerce people have to go to the arts. So this kind of bringing the different disciplines together in curriculum development, in pedagogical innovations, or even in the research for that matter. So I think that's a whole idea. It is not closing of some departments. It is basically bringing all them together on a platform so that we can have that approach. See, why, otherwise we will lose the very context of this new structure. Why this is there? So approach any problem or approach anything in the society real time, it has many dimensions. Let us understand our own problem, personal level problems, which have to be discussed in different ways. So if you are admitted to hospital, your medical thing is one, your medicine, your doctor, your insurance. So it's a finance sector question. This is a medical sector question, and at the same time you are balancing your emotions, family members, etc. This is a personal level example I'm giving. Or you take a government project, a water project. You cannot think only about water irrigation projects today. We need to think about environment, technology, society. All these dimensions will be there. So the very approach is bringing all this department together and work academically. That's the answer for the first question. Second question, PG will have all the three options. The 4-year undergraduate program, if student completes, he will have only 1 year PG program. Master, he will get the master degree. If he completes 3-year degree program, 2-year master degree is compulsory. If the students, there are options for even university to offer integrated program. That is 5-year integrated program. All the three possibilities will be there.
Thank you, sir. Next question has come from Dr. Ajita Jain. She is asking what will be the impact on PG admissions, as in this scenario UG will be of 4 years, and I believe what she's also trying to say is that there will be not enough clarity on the student movement year-on-year basis.
Yeah, definitely, because if any students, if they come to know about the very importance of 4-year undergraduate program, I think they will continue. They will continue this 4-year. Then the problem for PG admission. There are two things. One is, what is the percentage of students who are going for PG? It is not in great number. For majority of the students, as I mentioned very beginning of the session, first degree is the terminal degree. So the students who come for PG is actually the very less percentage. Now the question comes, if those who comes for PG, normal percentage, if they take 4-year undergraduate program, what is going to happen with the PG admission? I think definitely the first year exclusive PG programs, wherever it is there, it will definitely to go some kind of decline will definitely there. Then I think we'll have admission straight away to the 2nd year PG program with higher percentage. That is all possible. So I am not denying that. Number one. Number two, in terms of faculty and other things are the questions. I think we have that block in our mind teaching UG, PG. So otherwise, fourth year is as equivalent to first year PG in terms of even the credits and the eligibility criteria. I think that can be managed. So otherwise, if you take exclusively PG program first year, there are chances, but don't think that is going to happen immediately. I think students have to accept this 4-year degree, it should get that kind of momentum. So this is a transition period. By the time you will also think about alternative plans for the PG program at the institution level. So I think that institution level transition plan with a lot of strategies will definitely help you to coming out from all these worries in the days to come.
Thank you so much. Sir, another question has come from Dr. Atul Raval. He is asking what will be the minimum credit points at each level, which in fact you have covered during your presentation, but you may explain again. And then another related question by the same participant is, what about PG or master's degree after honors? So maybe he's asking about that after honors is done, how the further academic progression will take place. What are the plans for the same?
For each level, actually UGC has thought of uniform credit structure. Every year 40 credits for certifications, diploma 40 plus 40, 80 credits, then 120 credits, the bachelor degree. And the last year again 40 it will add, so it becomes 160 degree. So this uniform pattern has been so far suggested, but I think not very mandatory. I think there's a minimum requirement. That is minimum requirement. University can think of to some kind of modification in this to add some more courses or something like that. That definitely university can work out. This is minimum requirement. 40 credits each level exit point. It is suggested in the draft document. That is number one. Number two, I think I already have answered. After the 4 years honors degree, students would like to continue their higher education. They can get into the admission to the second year PG program. So once they complete, they get the master's degree. So 4-year UG honors, 1 year PG.
Thank you so much, sir. One question which has again come from Swati Thakkadongre, which I believe is an interesting question as well, given the multidisciplinary approach of NEP. She's asking that now if there is no clear bifurcation between arts, science, commerce, how the programs will be bifurcated? What will be the degree which students will get, BCom, BSc, etc.?
Okay. If you look at the NEP document, it is not talking about BA, BCom, BSc. It talks about only UG program, degree program. In one point of time, it is also talked about a 3-year degree program, 4-year multidisciplinary degree program, something like that. It is there in the NEP document. But the recent guidelines of UGC has given certain, they also not mentioned about BA, BCom, BSc, because it's a very broad guideline they had given. So they said UG certificate, UG diploma, UG degree, and UG degree with honors. But some of the examples they had given in the document that gives a picture that it is BA bachelor, BA 3 years BA, 3-year BA with honors, 3-year BA honors with research. So your degree based on the major minor, it will be decided basically. For example, if I join in a BA program, it is BA major in sociology, minor in some area, maybe minor in let me give unrelated one, minor in music, minor in political science, something like that. So if the student complete the 50% of the credits in a core area, that becomes the major, that will be identified with the degree program. And if any student completes 12 minimum credits, that becomes the minor, that is also be associated with your major. So whether it is BA, BCom, BSc, whatever the program the student enroll, and finally with the major and minor certification will be done. That's how the document gives information.
Thank you, sir.
My request to all the faculty members of different colleges, don't worry about your discipline. Don't worry about your departments. Okay. Now you need to work out some strategies to how to come together and integrate all this so that we can come out with a better programs with lot of synergies so that that helps student community at large and also it helps us to grow in our career. So there are a lot of such opportunities are there if you go to get, if you understand the spirit of the NEP. So let us work towards that. That's my submission to all of you.
Yes, I agree with you. And related to what you are saying is, in fact, another question. So let me place that as well to you. So Maria Muthu Kumar is asking, what measures need to be taken immediately for NEP to be implemented from next year? So what colleges and institutions, FPI should be doing?
Yeah, I think this is basically from the college point of view. So colleges needs to this is something called mindset. I call it as an issue of culture. So I think within the college, some kind of awareness program. Okay, we have that assumption that all of us know NEP and things like that. There are even colleges, they are the best colleges. They know the NEP key points, NEP policy points, but the spirit behind it. I think at the very first thing, have intensive workshops within the colleges by inviting some experts from the area and understand the key transformative ideas which are very relevant for colleges to approach in the days to come. I think that kind of an intensive work is required. Second one, you can have a small committee or a task force or a small team or your if established IQAC is there. I think they can also work as an agent to bring this change as per NEP. So I think you can do a SWOT analysis of your own institution with the very understanding of the today's requirement and the NEP aspirations. So do a SWOT analysis, find that gap, and I think whether the regulations demands it or not, or it may delay it for further 1 or 2 years, work on your institutional development plan in a realistic sense, including the stakeholders of your own college. I think that small team can do all this work by considering all the faculty and management and students, alumni, etc. in the institution. The fourth one, I think there is a lot of requirement for capacity building. For example, we need to university tomorrow, they will come up with the program structure. It's not a big thing for them. They have the faculty resources, experts within their university. They develop as per UGC and they'll push it to all the affiliated colleges. Affiliated college has to offer a 4-year undergraduate program. Your teachers must be ready. So please invest on the teachers' capacity building. And I think one more thing is sensitization of this program to your own stakeholders. Every college needs to talk to their parents, students, or your own placement people who comes for placement, etc. I think they must be given this information so that you can build a very good ecosystem to implement the NEP. So next 1 year, if you consider, there's a very preparation period for you. You have to invest on the SWOT, you have to invest on the training, capacity building of faculty, you have to invest time and energy on the developing institutional development plan, and also be aware of the latest happenings at the system level and also at your university level. First, have a team to brainstorm within the college what to do, what strategies to develop.
Thank you so much, sir. One question has come from one of our deputy registrars. And I believe in academic institutions, always there is this concern related to implementation of anything new which is coming. So he's asking whether UGC will be issuing clear guidelines, and because such guidelines are required to be adopted by state government. There is a generally there is some ordinance which is issued or an act which is issued in order to implement whatever are the guidelines. So what is the progress in that direction?
Yeah, I think if you look at how UGC is working now, they have issued series of draft guidelines and regulations to the public opinion, to the public field for the feedback. I think by considering all this feedback, they are reworking now. I think the very multi-entry exit regulations or credit framework for all the undergraduate program, it is some level it is ready. I think within the UGC experts group, if they do a final review, because let us understand nowadays if you observe, a lot of this comes to the public, will have a lot of feedback. I think UGC must have been received good number of feedback and suggestions, and also of course criticisms on their recent documents. So I think UGC is working towards that. I think shortly there are these documents will have a final structure, and I think they will release. Definitely for all this there will be a framework, regulations, guidelines. I call it as more than regulations, it is guidelines for all the universities in the country to develop all this program, structure, etc. But let us understand, NEP says very clearly the macro level, the system level, central level, whatever you call, will give a broader outline, or it gives a framework. For example, National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and then Academic Bank of Credit, your credit structure and curriculum kind of a guidance. I think these are 3-4 guidelines will help all the universities to think on their own. NEP wants this, or NEP says this. Give that kind of autonomy to give all the universities within this broader framework. Let them do all innovations. It is not only for universities in the days to come. Let us say 10-15 years from now, every college going to become autonomous degree granting college. They have to do all this. So I think UGC is doing this. Shortly, we will have all these final documents. State government definitely in terms of higher education. So the universities has to adopt. State governments will definitely join hands in that. There will be some kind of flexibility is given already inbuilt within the UGC documents. I think state governments will definitely accept that. I think it also has a panel to work on the curriculum, etc. regulations. I think they must be working on all this in the line of UGC guidelines.
Yes, sir. So that is going on in the background, but then these are the queries which are definitely existing and coming up from time to time. One more query has come from Dr. Sangeeta Joshi. She is also Director IQAC of one of the institutions at University of Mumbai. She is asking that have we thought of KSA, which are required at each level, because in order to build up a curriculum which is balanced, that thought also needs to be given.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, so she's asking about KSA proportion. I think what she means is knowledge, skill, and abilities. So how are we looking at populating these components in the entire curriculum as the student moves from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3?
Yeah, basically, I think she is talking about the knowledge, skill,
ability,
competencies, abilities. One more dimension.
KSA. So I was interpreting A as ability.
Or maybe attitude also possible. Maybe. For me, it is very important. And the last component, even research. I think she missed out.
Yes.
I think it is. That's what I said. It is a progressive curriculum. The first year will be more exposure to all these different disciplines. So giving some kind of a basic foundational knowledge about different disciplines and skill courses, ability enhancement courses. This is the first year. Second year onwards, they will get into the major, minor, and they will have some components of skill and also ability. Third year is basically the major, minor. Fourth year is completely on the major and to some extent minor, plus the research. See, this is how the entire structure has been designed. So at each level, for example, certification level, diploma level, there is something called National Higher Education Qualification Framework. It is integrated with the skill framework. That's what I had presented in my presentation. Level 4.5, level 5, level 5.5, level 6. It has to be achieved. What do you mean by that? To call as a certificate, students must be equipped with certain level of skill, competencies in some areas, and a foundational knowledge of different disciplines. Likewise for diploma, likewise for degree, it is clearly not defined, it is clearly stated. So you will have definitely a clarity on that. So what type of skills and how to integrate that with your different courses under the discipline or under the multidisciplinary approach. So this is very clear. So your knowledge component, your skill component, your ability enhancement component, and research component has been taken care very well at each exit point, with integrating with the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and also the very approach, very structure of the 4-year undergraduate program is like that only. Otherwise, if that is not there, your exit points will have no recognition or value at all.
Thank you so much, Professor Gowrisha. In fact, there are still many questions which are there in the chat window. But as we have limit on the time and we can't continue with the questions any further, let me stop here and let me invite my colleague from University of Mumbai, Professor Dr. Vidya Venkateshan, to offer vote of thanks. Vidya madam, over to you.
Let me thank the director of HRD and the IQAC coordinator, chancellor, vice chancellor, and pro chancellor for inviting me on this platform. I think it's a wonderful discussion. People are telling that there is a lot of awareness, everything is happening. Now we need to get into the implementation. Let me tell you, because we are doing such a lot of programs physically online, we are still getting all basic questions, and it will be there for some more years. Very important thing is understanding the NEP from the implementation perspective is required. I think in that direction, I think this program is very meaningful. Thanks for calling me. So we will have many more such discussions on the academic platform. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Vidya madam.
Thank you. The very pleasant task of proposing the vote of thanks is mine, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Sir, the NEP that you speak with so much passion about has been a dream come true for many of us from the languages from the language departments, because it recognizes the importance and the value of languages. You use it, it comes under your ability enhancement schemes. And I think it is but fitting that in a country of like India, Bharat, where we talk about our motherland as Subhashinim, Sumadhura Bhashinim, we have so many languages that our national education policy should take into account the importance of all languages. If one language is your mother tongue, all other languages must have the same relationship as your mother's sister to you. So this respect for languages that has been given to this program is something that personally touches me deeply. Your intervention was most enlightening. You took the time to answer questions. And very importantly, you're clearly an academic because you recognize it as a challenge. You're not sort of denying the fact that we will have our set of challenges, both personal and professional. There'll be challenges at the institutional level, at the departmental level, but we are with you. We are with, as a nation, we support this initiative. We respect the people who've taken the time to do it. And we particularly feel thankful to you for coming on today's panel and throwing a great deal of light on what could have been a very cluttered subject. Thank you very much. Thank you, UGC, HRDC. Thank you, all the panel members who I look forward to hearing as the session continues. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Vidya Venkateshan. May I now request all the participants to take 5 minutes bio break. Please do not exit the meeting. Stay online, continue to be online while you take this bio break. We will be commencing the program after a break of 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. No, it's not locked.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, we can start.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I was just waiting for the cue. Yeah, thank you so much. So let me start the second session of today's workshop on NEP implementation being organized by UGC HRDC University of Mumbai. And I welcome Dr. Rajendra Kumar V. Joshi, who is a senior consultant and holds Masters in Philosophy from Bangalore University, doctoral degree from Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. He is head of for Mission 10X Research Center, Wipro Technologies. Before I proceed further, may I request the managing team, IT team, to spotlight Dr. Joshi. Professor Joshi, please. Yes, thank you so much. So let me repeat the introduction quickly again. So we have with us Dr. Rajendra Kumar Joshi. Dr. Rajendra Joshi holds Masters in Philosophy from Bangalore University and doctoral degree from Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. As the head of Mission X Research Center, Wipro Technologies, he has been involved in designing and delivering training programs and executive academic leadership programs for the principals and faculty members of engineering colleges across the country. He has also trained more than 2,000 engineering faculty and 250 engineering college leaders as part of Mission 10X. He has served as Director of Indus Training and Research Center, Bangalore, and Dean of Education Studies at IACT. Dr. Joshi has wide experience in training and development and has served as Director for Learning and Development at Marwadi University, Rajkot, Gujarat. Dr. Joshi also has worked closely with National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, both as peer team member and coordinator for peer team to assess and accredit colleges in the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. He was awarded with prestigious Emerald and the IMA Research Fund Award in 2008 for research project. Welcome, Professor Dr. Rajendra V. Joshi. Over to you, sir. You will be speaking on pursuing 2 academic programs simultaneously and entwining dual joint degree programs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that kind words of introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, fine. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And may I request the IT team now to stop the screen share so that, thank you so much.
Can I share my screen now? Is it possible?
Yes, sir, you may.
Okay. No, this is not what I want. There seems to be some issue. I wonder what it is. Just a moment. Just give me a moment. Yeah, is my screen available now?
Say not yet. It is not yet available. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Oh, why would that be? Yeah, now it should be there.
Yes.
Yes.
It's there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. I was there for a few minutes when my colleague Dr. Gowrisha was talking. So this is in some sense a continuation, but in some sense a different one. The topic that I am asked to speak on is pursuing 2 academic programs simultaneously and twinning program, joint program, dual degree programs that the UGC has proposed now under the new scheme. I think the first thing we need to remember is these are very clear directives of the UGC. There are clear guidelines and the statutes have been formed and they are available now as a public document. We will look into clarifying these things and then look at any issues coming out of that. But before we go into that, though it may be a bit of a repetition, I'm not even sure whether Dr. Gowrisha talked or you must have had earlier sessions also. But I think whenever we look at anything specific, better to start with the overall spirit of NEP, because my own experience in most places is we get into smaller details without linking it to a larger spirit of NEP, and that's when a lot of doubts come and clarifications are required. So let me start with the whole idea of NEP. This is the vision, which I'm sure many of you must have read it in the document. The operative words there are high quality education for all, awareness of one's role and responsibilities in changing world, and to produce a truly global citizen. These are the operative words in the vision. And it is very clearly rooted in India, because very clearly the policy says it is an India-centered, focused on India's needs, at the same time being sensitive to the changing world and preparing our people for the kind of world we are going to move in. As we keep talking, we are at the moment reaping what is called the demographic dividend. We have the largest population in the working age group, which is an asset for any country, because there are more people producing and there are less people dependent on more people. We are in that happy state at the moment. But one needs to realize that this is not going to last forever in the very sense in which history moves. We would not have this demographic dividend beyond 30, 40 years. And if we have to really capture a place in the world economy.
Yeah, Dr. Joshi, may I request you to put this in slideshow mode, because right now we are not able to see.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 minute. Is that okay?
Thank you so much, sir. We can see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the most important thing to recognize is that we are in a happy state as a nation and as an economy where we have the so-called demographic dividend. We need to recognize that this will not last for a very long time, and we need to capitalize on that to keep ourselves a position in the growing world. And that is possible only when we have this large young population which is trained, educated, and skilled. And that is the sensitivity with which the national education policy has been formulated. So when we talk of anything, including doing 2 degrees simultaneously or collaboration with foreign educational institutions, we need to keep this in mind, that the entire process is to build a nation and build individuals to a position where we take advantage of the demographic dividend we have and build a place for ourselves in the world stage. Three big things if you have to capture the policy. One is a structural change, in terms of how the entire higher education is organized. Then, of course, there is a change proposed in the regulatory reforms. We'll look into it quickly. And the most important academic component of the change of the national education policy is the whole idea of holistic and multidisciplinary education, which is going to be the focus of all education, most definitely undergraduate education in the country. So when we look at these changes, the changes are at two levels. One is at the macro level, where changes have to come necessarily from the government, from UGC, from state governments. And then there are micro level, which is at the institutional level or individual, at both the levels. So when we say changes, changes will have to happen at all the levels, macro as well as micro. That's the expectation of the spirit of NEP. At the macro level, it has to come from in terms of regulatory framework and structural reforms. At the micro level, we all work in an institution, a university or a college. And at the institutional level, certain changes have to happen. Then, of course, at the individual level, things have to change. This is very important. We need to understand that change can happen only when there are changes at all these levels. It cannot happen either only from the top or either only from the bottom. We need both. We need to work from both ends so that we meet the goal that we have set for ourselves. When we look at macro changes, we are looking at guidelines through General Education Council, technology grid. This is part of the policy. Structural reforms is holistic multidisciplinary education. Classification of higher education institutions. There is a classification in terms of research-oriented, teaching-oriented, and degree-awarding autonomous colleges. Of course, these are not watertight compartments. Institutions could be moving up the ladder, and they are not even hierarchical. It would be wrong to see them as hierarchical because it is more functional. When largely a postgraduate unit focuses more on research, it is a research university. When the same university, when it focuses more on teaching, it's a teaching university. And colleges, over a period of time, all colleges would become autonomous and degree awarding ability would be given to them. And the third would be where the focus is more on undergraduate education. And we are, but all three types would do research, but the idea is only the focus. The focus in the first one is research, second is teaching, and the third is teaching at the undergraduate level. Yeah. Micro changes need to be at the institutional level. We need to build infrastructure. Infrastructure is not necessarily only physical. It is knowledge resources. It could be other resources like ICT or library resources. And we need to network with other institutions because for the first time, the policy says there is a need to work in collaboration with other institutions. So networking becomes important. And policy very clearly talks of increasing access and also providing equity. And all this rests on faculty capacity building. This is very, very crucial. And also designing holistic and multidisciplinary curriculum. This is what needs to happen at the micro level, which is at the institutional level. If this change has to happen, there is another fundamental level change that has to happen, that is at the individual level. I think one of the first things to change is the mindset. Anything new, there is a human tendency to resist it. And most of the times the resistance comes from lack of awareness. So we urge everywhere, please read the policy. That's most important. And more important, if one has time and willingness, please read the original Kasturirangan Committee draft report because it gives a lot of clarity. Policy is a much shorter document. A lot of details are available in the draft document. So that would help all the faculty, all of us, to prepare a right kind of a mindset, and then we know what kind of a skills we need. And that also demands that we collaborate with colleagues within the institution and across the institution. So the policy has a certain ambition, and it requires changes both at the macro level and at the micro level. This is the larger ambition in terms of actualities. We need to build large multidisciplinary, holistic universities and colleges across the world. By 2040, all institutions need to become multidisciplinary institutions. Will have a large number. I don't think one should look at 3,000 as a kind of a rigid figure. What it actually talking about, if you read the draft policy, it very clearly mentions it. Institutions need to have a sufficient number to be sustainable, and therefore the figure of 3,000 is mentioned. And it's not impossible, because today our enrollment is in the relevant age group, what is called the gross enrollment ratio, is somewhere in 27, 28. And we are actually looking at increasing it to 50% by 2035, which means roughly a little less than double is going to be the student number. So we need to look for larger institution, one to cater to large number. And we need to have 50% because higher education helps in building a better human resource, which is absolutely critical to leverage on the demographic dividend we have and to build a better economy and a better nation. So therefore, we need to aim at 50%. Hence, the numbers will be large, and therefore colleges will grow, or higher educational institutions will grow large. And once they grow large, they also become sustainable. That's one of the challenges of a growing institution. All the single stream higher education institutions will have to be phased out over a time, because we need to build multidisciplinary education system. Why? Because it provides a more holistic education, builds a better competence among our younger generation, builds better employee and better citizen. Therefore, we need to have institutions with multiple streams, not just single streams. So there is a clear-cut roadmap. There is a time frame of up to 2035 or 2040. We need to move all single stream higher education institutions to become multidisciplinary. And the biggest change which is proposed is the whole system of affiliation will be gradually phased out over next 15 years, which means at the end of 15 or 20 years, there will not be any affiliated college. There will be either universities, or there will be colleges which are autonomous and who can award degrees, which is much more autonomous than the autonomous colleges which exist now, because in the present system, the degree still comes from the parent university. So we will move further. All colleges will be autonomous, and they will be autonomous enough to award, they will be able to grant degrees to their students. So this is the, in actuality, the kind of changes that will take place. The other change, which has not yet happened, which should have happened, but from what I read from the situation, I think one of the unfortunate things is that the approval of the policy coincided with the pandemic, and as a nation and as a system, we were fighting the emergency of pandemic. Therefore, this very important thing has not yet happened. But this is a change in terms of regulatory reforms, because today we have multiple regulators. Anybody who's in charge of running an institution knows that there are multiple regulatory systems in the country, sometimes conflicting, and a lot of institutional resources and time is spent in complying with a variety of regulatory requirements. And that kind of has locked our energy and time, which has stopped us from pursuing much more academic and creative aspects of higher education. Considering this, the policy very clearly says we will have a very light but a tight regulatory framework. There will be one overarching Higher Education Council of India, under which there will be 4 verticals. There will be one, and these each verticals have a function. The vertical is focused on a function. The first one is a regulator. Second one is an accrediting body or a meta-accrediting body. The third one is about financing. And the fourth one is General Education Council. The first one, right now, a lot of these functions get mixed up in a single regulator. For example, UGC is both a regulator and financing, certain aspects of financing of higher education. So now the regulators are function-based. There will be one vertical which will only look at regulation. It will not look at other things. The second regulator will look at accreditation. What is visualized is there will be a meta-accrediting body. It will not directly accredit institution, but it will set the process of accreditation. And perhaps there will be more than one accrediting body. Like today we have NAC and AAC. Perhaps there will be more than one because we need to cater to a very large growing number of institutions who will accredit institution, and any accreditation related issues will be handled by this vertical. And the third one will look at only financing aspect. And the last one is about providing an educational qualification framework, which today it has already come from UGC. In the absence of this system coming in, UGC has in the interim has released the document. But over a period of time, I'm told the document for a Higher Education Council of India Act is ready. It will go to Parliament and it will get discussed and approved. Once that is approved, this is the kind of regulatory system we will have, and accordingly, it will become much easier both for institution as well as regulator, because there is one overarching with very specific function-based verticals who will be doing respective functions. So this is the much clearer, lighter kind of a regulatory framework which will come. Today's agenda, coming back to what we are doing today, one is about UGC's new provisions for pursuing 2 academic programs simultaneously. And the second one is academic collaboration between Indian and foreign educational institutions. Yeah. So these 2 issues is what we will take for a while now and discuss them. Before we move on, I also want to talk a little bit about academic bank of credit, because many of the things where we are looking at, whether it is pursuing 2 degrees simultaneously, and especially where there is collaboration either in software twinning or joint degree or dual degree, I think academic bank of credit becomes very important instrument, because this is an online facility which will accumulate, where we can accumulate credit and we can transfer credit, whether it is from a foreign institution to Indian institution or within Indian institution. So to transfer credit, and once the credit is transferred, we can redeem it, which means it can be added to the program that I'm going through right now. So therefore, academic bank of credit becomes very, very important. It works. It's an instrument which helps us in implementing what we call as multiple entry exit system, which means if my circumstances don't allow me, or for any other reason, if I want to exit after completing 1 year of my undergraduate program, move to another institution in another area, it should be possible, because the credits that I have acquired will be there in the academic bank of credit, which is where it's accumulated, and I transfer this credit to the new institution and I redeem it, which means I can use that credit and join the appropriate level of my undergraduate program. So this is this is based on basic idea of NEP that there needs to be flexibility in learning. Flexible in terms of where I acquire my education, flexibility in terms of different programs that I want to do. So it is almost anytime, anywhere learning concept. So I'm not bound by it. I mean, if you want an analogy, it is exactly like the core banking that's happened in bank now. I may have an account in a particular branch, but it allows me to operate from any branch of that bank, basic functions of my banking. So, which means because all the banks are related now, and there is one information, one data bank from where I can use my data and do my banking operation. Similarly, I have my credit centrally located, which I can take from institution X to institution Y and use it to continue my education. So this promotes flexibility of curriculum framework and mobility of students across higher education institutions. Now, this is very important. Especially when there is collaboration with foreign education institutions, this is the instrument which will help, as we will see a little later. Since NEP wants to have an imaginative, flexible curricular structures, removing disciplinary boundaries, and also now there is a open and distance learning possibilities are there. The new guidelines, which allow us to pursue two programs, uses these two ideas. One, the wanting to have more imaginative, flexible curricular structure, and two, the possibility of open and distance learning mechanism that exists now thanks to new technologies that are becoming available. So which the requirement, the guidelines are very, very clear. A student can pursue two programs. If they are full-time in physical mode, then they can be pursued provided the programs don't conflict in terms of their class timings or the timetable, which means, for example, daytime and evening. It's possible for a student to pursue two full-time academic programs in physical form. This is allowed now. So I can pursue two programs. I can pursue two programs. One could be physical, one could be ODL, online or open distance learning. So I can pursue one full-time physical mode, conventional mode as the other UGC documents use the term. And the other one which I pursue can be in terms of open and distance learning or online. Yeah. Or it can be two ODL or online programs. However, it's very clear this is only regarding undergraduate, postgraduate, and postgraduate diploma programs. This does not apply to doctoral programs. There cannot be two academic programs at the doctoral level. This is only two undergraduate level or two postgraduate level or two diploma level programs. And guidelines for this have already been released. And in case, I mean, if you look at the other guideline which UGC has already released regarding open and distance learning, the 60% of the learning material needs to be developed by an institution where I am pursuing this program through distance learning. The other 40% can be sourced from open education resources or Swayam and other such approved platform. So it is now possible for a student to pursue simultaneously two degree programs. I think this makes it possible to cater to different interests that students have. It also makes it possible for those who can academically manage two programs, because right now we had a kind of a one size fits all system. You know, everybody needs to take 3 years or 4 years as the policy envisages now to complete one degree. Now it is possible for me to register for two if I can manage, if it is in physical mode when they don't overlap, or one physical mode, another one in distance mode. So this is building more flexibility into the system and catering to different interests and different abilities of the students. So that's the interesting feature that as a result of the policy, now UGC has already made it possible for students to pursue. The next one is about, a twinning program or joint degree or dual degree program, which largely comes under the internationalization of higher education. In fact, the policy very clearly speaks about it. Draft document of the education policy also has a fairly lengthy statement about internationalization of higher education, because one is education is a huge interest, and we visualize that India could become an attractive study destination for foreign students. I mean, if you go back in Indian history, there was a time when we had ancient universities which attracted students from across the globe. We at least would like to go back to that, acquire that kind of a status again. And therefore, internationalization is important because we want to become an important destination for foreign students to pursue higher education. And this is important because when there is a collaboration, when there are students come from another country, another situation, it also adds to the richness of the educational institution, which adds to the learning for the students. It also increases the standing of the country as a leader in education. And it fosters international competences among our students and faculty. And it develops a global mindset, because today economy is a global economy. The whole world is a market. So we need to produce players who can play across the world. It's no more, I'm not restricting myself to my country anymore. We work at different places. We relate to other countries economically and socially. Therefore, in order to develop global mindset, one of the contributing factors is the internationalization of education. And we also need to improve our global ranking. Whenever recently global rankings came for this year, and we have not been doing too well, though there has been a slight improvement over the last few years, but we are still very, very far away from having a standing in our global ranking. So that's another important thing. And we also need to align our curriculum, faculty and infrastructure, global standards. That's when we would also become an attractive destination, education destination for foreign students. And once this happens, the internationalization is also aiming at credit transfer. If I study elsewhere in the world, I should be able to bring that credit, use it in higher education institution in India, or some part of my study which has happened here can be carried to a foreign educational institution. So this way, there is a clear movement between higher educational institutions in Indian context and foreign educational institution, so that we build better manpower, we build a great system of education. The new regulations have come in place. There is already it has been released. It's available as a public document. When I use the term HEI, I refer to institutions in India. When we refer to FEI, what we mean is foreign educational institutions. The regulations visualize three types of collaborations. One is a twinning program, where student enrolled in an institution in India undertake part of their study, could be a semester, could be a certain courses in foreign educational institutions. This is the very basic level of collaboration between an Indian institution and a foreign educational institution. The collaboration could go deeper, where the curriculum gets designed jointly by collaborating institution, and therefore degree is also awarded jointly. It's a single degree, 1 degree certificate, but it comes from in the name of both the universities, both the institutions, an HEI in Indian context and an FEI from any other collaborating institution across the world. it can go deeper, the collaboration go deeper, where the program, the whole entire program is jointly designed, offered in the same or similar area and at the same level, and the degree is conferred separately by both simultaneously. Both of them will give a degree, same degree, both will give. So there are 3 levels at which collaboration can happen. One is where there is an experience of studying in another foreign educational institution and carry that credit here and continue my education here and get a degree from an Indian educational institution. The second one is where both get together and design a curriculum and degree is awarded by both. And in the third one, since the collaboration is much more deeper and the program is also jointly done, it is in the similar area at similar level. Therefore, the degree comes from both, same degree comes from both institutions. Now let's take a look at what are these 3 programs and what is the difference in that. In terms of degree, when it comes to twinning program, it is awarded by a higher educational institution in India. It's only part of the program that I use or I experience from a foreign educational institution. But that credit will come here. That's when ABC becomes important, because that credit will come, we'll be able to carry it and store it in ABC and then continue education and redeem that credit for awarding of degree by an Indian institution. Whereas in terms of the other 2 systems, as we have already mentioned, in the joint degree program, jointly awarded in a single certificate. When it comes to the dual degree, there is a separate degree simultaneously conferred both by HEI and FEI. As it's very clearly said, it's about doctoral degree. When it comes the dual degree, joint degree, twinning program applies to undergraduate, postgraduate program only. Twinning will not apply to doctoral degree. Whereas if it comes to joint degree program, student will spend minimum 1 semester in the collaborating institution, and there has to be a guide or a supervisor in both, in the home higher education institution in India and also in the collaborating foreign educational institution. In terms of dual degree as well, we need to have it, minimum 1 semester need to be spent in the foreign educational institution, and there has to be another supervisor there. So this is the difference between twinning on one hand, joint degree and dual degree on the other hand, when it comes to doctoral program. When it comes to postgraduate, undergraduate degree or a postgraduate diploma, the degree gets awarded in twinning program by Indian institution, whereas in joint degree and dual degree, there is also collaboration with the foreign educational institution. In terms of credit, if you look at the credits that we look at, in twinning program, credit from foreign educational institution cannot exceed 30%. And if you look at it, this is common for all the 3 collaborations, whether it is twinning, joint degree, dual degree, is 30%. Credit from, in case of twinning program, credit from foreign educational institution should be counted in the education institution in India. And it is again common to all, which is credit acquired should not be from an overlapping program. I mean, credit cannot be used, same credit cannot be used for more than 1 program. The credit has to be specifically for that program. Only then it can be transferred to India and used in an higher education institution here to get my degree. Same thing happens even in joint degree as well as dual degree. Yeah. So therefore, when it comes to joint degree program, credit earned from HEI and FEI to count for the degree credit, and credit should not be from overlapping program. Same thing in terms of dual degree. What is interesting is there is only one evaluation when it comes to joint degree program, though I may spend time, the course is designed also jointly with that foreign educational institution, but there is only one evaluation for the course. Together, that there cannot be more than one evaluation. If there is a course, the course will have one evaluation, and whatever number of courses, that equal number of evaluations will be there. There cannot be another evaluation. And this is true both of the joint degree as well as dual degree. Again, if you look at it, transcript, when I do a twinning program, where I spend some time on a particular course in a foreign educational institution, transcript need to be issued by the institution, because the transcript also is important, because one, it is an evidence of having completed the program as part of the twinning program, and also it's important as a document for bringing that credit here so that my degree is awarded here. And same way, transcript is to be issued both by institution, both in also in terms of joint degree and dual degree program. And in case the student cannot or decides to opt out of twinning program or joint degree program or dual degree program, a clear exit pathway needs to be very clearly mentioned, which means I cannot be locked into it. I should be able to exit, which means if I have completed a certain amount of program, certain credit I have acquired, that credit I should be able to carry back to an Indian higher education institution, and it will again come to academic bank of credit, and that can be used to acquire degree here depending on how many credits I have accumulated. So there is an exit pathway that has to be very clearly worked out, because otherwise the whole purpose of flexibility in learning, which is another underlying principle of NEP, gets defeated. So if I enter, I cannot exit, I get locked there. You can exit, but if I have completed a certain amount of credit there, that credit should be able to be brought here, whether I have completed the program as envisioned in a joint degree and dual degree or not. So exit path has to be very clearly mentioned. The guidelines are also very clear about tuition fee. Whatever fee, whether it is twinning, joint degree, dual degree, there needs to be a public disclosure right in the beginning as to what is the complete fee structure. Needless to say, it should also be reasonable, but most important, I think, is public disclosure, because that's what is an enabling provision. It helps the student to decide and also able to pursue the program. So this is how these three systems work. However, there are very clear conditions who can collaborate with whom. Collaborating foreign educational institutions should be in the top 1,000 of the QS ranking times higher education ranking. These are two well-known international ranking of higher education institution. In any one of the ranking, the institution with which we would like to collaborate needs to be in the top 1,000. That's very clear, top 1,000. Whereas the collaborating higher education institution in India should be accredited by NAC with a score of 3.1 on a 4-point scale, or it should be top 1,000 of the QS or Times ranking, or top 100 of the NIRF ranking. So if my institution is one of this, then I am eligible to collaborate, and my institution with whom I want to collaborate should be one of the top 1,000 in the international ranking. There needs to be an MOU, needless to say, which should very clearly decide what is the student obligation, what is the financial obligation, what is the intellectual property right, because the courses will be developed by both. So therefore, who owns what course, what is the kind of right both institutions have, need to be very clearly worked out in the MOU. What are the student attendance requirement? What is the supervision arrangements? What kind of an evaluation system we will follow? All this needs to be very clearly articulated in MOU, because in that sense, it becomes the main instrument. And therefore, higher education institutions need to establish a single agency which will oversee this kind of collaboration, which will be Office of International Affairs, which will have the overall responsibility and becomes a single point of contact for all collaborations, whether it is twinning program, joint degree, or dual degree. And all monitoring is by public disclosure, which means maximum. In fact, this is true not just of this. NEP very clearly says all governance issues need to be managed by public disclosure, which means there will be mandated very soon how much information we need to share in public. Yeah, and which means it has to be on our website publicly available, because this is one way of monitoring institutions and also keeping a check. And definitely a stakeholder, student, parent, society at large needs to know more so that there is a certain accountability built into it. Same in this collaboration with foreign educational institution also. The monitoring will be largely done by public disclosure, which means once we collaborate, certain information, certain details need to be publicly disclosed, and that's very clearly mandated, and that will have to be done. And any grievance of students to be addressed by the higher education institution in Indian context. This is what is expected of this. Again, there are other conditions. Any collaboration between HEI and FEI, that is an Indian institution and a foreign education institution, will be the one in conventional mode, which means face-to-face physical mode. It will not include online ODL mode. So collaboration can be only for the actual physical conventional mode of education. It cannot be for any online. And no franchisee or study center by any name will be allowed. It has to be full-fledged collaboration, where very clearly we have to lay out in the MOU what each institution will do. What are we looking at? Are we looking only at twinning, where part of the program I do, or where curriculum is jointly designed, or the entire program is jointly designed? So it's a collaboration. No franchising, no study center is part of the system. And all interpretation will be decided by UGC. If there is any conflict, any clarity required as to what is the definition, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what UGC mandates will be binding on the collaborating higher education institution in India. And obviously, any dispute is also governed by Indian law. One must also recognize that it has implications for many other things. There are many other laws which have an impact on collaboration. For example, intellectual property law, foreign exchange reserve bank rules, because the fees will be involved, finances will be involved. So these are issues which are decided by other laws. So when collaborating, an institution will have to take all this into account. We will have to obey all those laws. We will have to comply with all those laws. So when we collaborate, we will have to really look into what are the other aspects where other rules formed by Government of India have an impact on this, that will have to be taken into account. But overall, it's an interesting and a fairly new, and I think we are opening it up almost for the first time. This also implies that the foreign institutions can also come in. In fact, in the recent budget speech, the finance minister very clearly said there are institutions from France and Italy who have shown interest, especially in the gift city in Ahmedabad. There is a proposal to locate certain foreign universities. So it brings in them. It allows our students and our institutions to collaborate, which means it helps us to open ourselves into the world, but it also demands that we pull up our socks and we create systems and structures which are globally competitive. So there is an advantage and there is a responsibility which the new system expects from us. I'll stop there and we can have a discussion if there is any clarity required. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. So we will start with the queries, questions which have come up throughout the session. But let me start with one query, which in fact comes from the previous session and is kind of connected also, because this is a generic query related to overall implementation. So our senior faculty associated also with Senate of the University of Mumbai, Professor Jagtap has asked that when we refer to NEP 2020, is it applicable to all universities, including deemed universities and private universities? What is the policy call on that?
The overall policy call is very clear. In fact, it applies to every, that's why the term now no more is university college. It's higher educational institution. This is the new term which the policy consistently uses. So there is no difference. It applies to university, deemed universities, private university, universities which come under state legislature. All of them will be covered by the policy. In fact, for the first time, it very clearly says, this especially has a bearing in research and research funding. No distinction will be made between private and public universities. Each proposal will be considered on its merit. So policy very clearly makes no distinction. It's applicable to all kinds of higher educational institutions in the country.
So one more question which is there. This is related to the foreign twining degree programs, or in case now we are looking at dual degree programs. So one query which is again kind of generic query is related to credits. That in case we are linking ourselves to the foreign universities and somebody is traveling abroad, then how exactly credit mapping will happen? And if I am correct, you have already covered it on one slide, but in case if you can respond to this again.
Yeah, sure. No. Firstly, the very MOU will very clearly state, depending on the kind of collaboration we have, what do we understand by a course, what do we understand by the credit, what is the academic expectation. Having agreed that, then I carry that credit back here. They will issue a transcript. If it's a twinning program, they issue a transcript, and that transcript will carry my credit from there into my account in ABC here, and that will come to the institution where I am registered here and pursuing my education, and that will be counted for an overall credit requirement of my degree program or whatever program I am pursuing. So what we mean by credit and how much work is expected for a credit needs to be initially agreed between collaborating institutions. Because there could be different ways of looking at two different cultures, two different systems, what we expect out of credit. Yeah. So therefore, it's important that's why MOU is a omnibus instrument in which all these details need to be worked out right in the beginning.
Thank you, sir. This question which I'm asking now, in fact, was there in the first session as well, but couldn't ask because of the paucity of time, is applicable to yours as well. It is asking what major changes are expected to occur in examination and evaluation pattern after implementation of NEP 2020. Seema Agashi madam has asked this.
Yeah, I think firstly, we need to recognize that policy is a direction statement. Yeah. Personally, this is a very personal comment. I would be unhappy if UGC mandates that everybody must follow this. I think that takes away the very spirit of NEP. Yeah. But however, for reasons of uniformity and standardization, the overall structure will obviously come from central agency, whether it is HECI or UGC as it exists now. Having said this, the policy very clearly says we need to move from high stake one exam to much more balanced, formative, and summative assessment. All over the world, and any research literature on assessment very clearly says if the purpose of assessment is to ensure learning, then we need to have a balance between formative and summative assessment. So I think going forward, at the minimum, formative and summative assessment should get equal weightage. Perhaps it could even be that formative assessment can get little more weightage than summative, because that's where actually learning can be ensured. And therefore, I think what I presume will happen, which I can see in some private universities already happening, and many other progressive institutions are already doing it, is moving our focus and keeping a balance between formative and summative assessment.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. One more question. Dr. Amanullah Khan has asked this. He's asking, is there any proper mechanism for university examination department to handle multiple entry exits for degree course, diploma, certificate? So I think what he's asking is how this program exit entry system will be structured. So what you have to say on that? We understand that there will be DigiLocker and NAD integration, but I request you to answer that.
Yeah, I think one or two things have to be very clear right in the beginning, because there's a lot of apprehension on this, especially at the colleges level. One, I think even now, there is a very small percentage who drop out for unavoidable reasons. Could be social, could be financial. They drop out. For example, if somebody drops out at the end of 2 years, obviously the student has learned something, but there is no credential for his learning. I mean, there is no recognition of his learning or her learning. We are only branding that student as a dropout. He drops out of a degree program, but he or she has learned something. We have spent 2 years full time, cleared all the requirements. So one, the policy, therefore, when it talks of multiple entry exit, it says when somebody exits like this, can I recognize his or her learning? That's when a diploma or certificate at the level of first year or second year comes in place. And secondly, in case I want to continue later, little later, in the present system, the shelf life of my credit is about 7 years. So within that 7 years, if I move, my condition improves, I may go to another place, I may want to continue, I can still carry this credit and add to my credit and continue and acquire my degree. This is what at one level. Secondly, if we look at the dropout, even today, it's a very small percentage. And I don't think because multiple entry exit comes, it is going to dramatically increase. It will still remain a small number. And the mechanism, the actual mechanism, how it operates is, you have to carry your credit from X institution to Y institution if I am migrating. Given the fact that physically it will have a lot of issues, therefore it has been made into a digital system. So which means as we go forward, each institution will have to have its evaluation system and grades it acquires. Each student will have to have an account. Perhaps like we have a PAN number or a PF number, which is common irrespective of where you move. Each students will have a unique credit account number, where at college X, where I am doing my first year, I will acquire my credit, and it's college responsibility to put this into my account there. And when I want to move, I go to another institution and inform, and they will have access to this, and they will look at this. And if I have acquired the required credits for completing first year, then if I am seeking my admission to second year, I would be able to do it. Obviously, there are quite a few hiccups would come in this, because we are a very vast and a multi-layered system of higher education. We're one of the largest higher education systems in the world. And we are growing. We are growing. In last 15 years, our total enrollment has almost tripled. Yeah, from 9% to almost 28% we have come. 9 or 10% to 28%. So it will have issues, but I'm sure we will be able to do it if we have been able to successfully do UPI or our PF or our core banking transaction. I'm sure this is not, given the kind of the power in IT we have been able to do, I'm sure we would be able to do. But yes, it will be through ABC. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So there is one more query which has come from our ODL faculty, Dr. Rajendra Deshpande. She is asking whether ODL will be given same credits as offline mode degree.
Yeah, I think this is something that UGC is now talking about. There has been recently a statement also on that we would allow, but I think at the moment there is no statutes formed for that or rules and regulations clearly. But even looking at what the ODL guidelines and even at the collaboration guidelines, that will not be far off. We would be moving there. Yeah, and that is not very far-fetched because the way technology has moved, many things are possible today which was not possible even 10 years ago through online mode. Many things which do online can now, many things, not all, many things can be moved online. Therefore, I don't see that as an impossibility. We would move there. In fact, I would, though this is not part of the question, but this is my very serious concern. So therefore, I would express it. Today, the challenge for all higher educational institution is not from a rival higher educational institution. It is actually from online education providers. Unless we provide something of much greater value than I can get from online, students will move to online. So therefore, I think it's very important to create a very enriching student learning experience in the offline mode or in the face-to-face mode that we are in, which will be able to hold students to this. No doubt, online can never replace the enriched environment of the offline or the physical one. But as to put it very bluntly, a bad offline is no replacement for a good online. So therefore, I think it's necessary to look at what is it that we can give, or to put it much more colorfully, what is it that I can give which Google cannot give, is the only way of holding this.
Yes. One question has come from Dr. Kundewar. He is asking, can affiliated colleges create their academic bank of credit without asking the affiliated university? So I think this concern comes from the current structure where even if a college has autonomy, there is still some permission which is required from the university. So how the system will evolve? How do you look at it?
Yeah, I think the concern is genuine, and perhaps there is still a little more clarity required on this as it exists today. But ABC is going to be a common national bank of credit for any student registered in any recognized higher educational institution. Therefore, whether as a college, affiliated or autonomous, I need to seek permission is a secondary issue, because all universities are bound to be part of ABC. And therefore, as an affiliated institution, I'll be mandated to be part of ABC, and I will have to follow a certain mechanism by which I put my credits of my students in their account in ABC. So it will be mandated, it will be binding on universities, hence on all colleges, as it starts rolling out. But however, clarity, much more clarity is required on this. Yeah.
Dr. Joshi, one more question, and this is again from another faculty who is named Joshi, Dr. Sangeeta Joshi. She is asking, while achieving flexibility in multi-entry and exit system, are we diluting prerequisite requirements? So I think her concern is related to that we have this structure of some prerequisite qualifications and entrance examination. And when the entry exit points will be multiple, how do we take care of that?
If you go back to policy and to the draft report, it does take this into account. Very clearly, it says that the receiving institution, if it has any kind of entry requirements or prerequisite courses, you can test the student on that. And if the student is wanting, he can be asked to take additional courses to complete the requirements. So the policy has already, visualized this issue, and therefore the suggestion is given. See, the one thing is, first we need to appreciate that flexibility is important. If we accept that, then we say there are challenges through flexibility. Can we overcome that? And there are two possibilities. One is that there are certain entry requirements in my institution, which somebody coming from totally another institution may not have. So I can, in fact, I will even go to the extent of saying, from what I understand as the spirit, if certain entry requirements are mandated by the institution, the student will have to fulfill that to get into the receiving institution. And if there are requisites required, one can test a student. If the student is found wanting, then can be asked to take additional courses, complete the course successfully. Because the alternative is going back to the rigid system, which I think is completely not acceptable.
So one question has come regarding preservation of academic credits. So I believe some understanding, if you can throw light on concept of DigiLocker and NAD, because the question exactly says how long this academic credit is to be preserved.
More than how long, the academic credits are locked or kept there because I can carry and use it for multiple entry also. The multiple exit has a value only if there is a multiple entry, which means I can go elsewhere and complete, or I can use it outside. In the ABC, the credit shelf life of a credit is 7 years. So which means if I have completed second year degree program today, till 7 years, I can carry this credit and join third year in another institution. But if it goes beyond that, then it will not be valid. So therefore, there is already a shelf life fixed as it exists today for 7 years.
Sir, I think many questions are coming related to this concept of credit only, because one more question I can see, which is asking that can colleges offer their own academic bank of credit, or whether there will be a central repository. So I think, sir, you have already answered that, but if you can quickly once again repeat that, yes.
There will be only one academic bank of credit central for the nation. Any higher educational institution, recognized higher educational institution, which means a university, autonomous college, or an affiliated college, or a deemed university, will have to associate itself with this ABC, where there will be an account in the name of the student, and credits acquired during the stay of that student in that institution will be deposited there, and that's a responsibility of the institution, so that it can be carried and redeemed as and when within 7 years the student wants it. So there is one. There are no multiple banks of credit.
So, sir, we are receiving continuously several questions, and we are in fact ourselves at loss at what to ask and what to leave. So let me select last question, which is in fact even a tough choice for me, because there are so many which are there in the chat window. So let me ask this question, which has come from a Captain Dr. Mohsin Khan, which is slightly different from what you have discussed. But again, this is indicating that how much is the query and concern related, how it will evolve. So the question is, what is the role of co-curricular activity? Will they be taught under one course? In fact, the NEP says that it will be integrated. Will the university college include the professor under the professor's workload? Such activities undertaken, NCC, NSS, etc.
Yeah. I think there are two aspects to it we need to separate. One is from a student and learning point of view. What about extracurricular, co-curricular activities? It could be sports, culture, NCC, NSS. Yeah. Policy very clearly says these are all sites of learning. Yeah. Therefore, the learning there needs to be accounted for. However, there needs to be a robust system of documenting, articulating, and accounting the learning from all this. I cannot, as a student, come and say I play cricket and give me 2 credits for that. There will have to be much robust system. In fact, there is already a UGC guideline recently issued about 2 years ago, I think, how NCC can be used for credit. It's already come from a UGC circular. So this is important because we are recognizing now that classroom is not the only site of learning. Lecture or studying is not the only aspect of learning. I also learn from many other dimensions. It is the entire experience in the institution, curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, all add to my learning. Therefore, there is a possibility of accounting for it. Of course, we will have to work out a system. For academics, I have a clear system of assignments, in term, end of the term, test, exam, etc., etc. I will have to work out, may not be the same. It would be pity if we have a written exam for sports and other things, but we will have to have a much more robust system where you can objectively look by the document whether the student has really learned something, has participated in something. So this is one learning part. Whether it will be part of teaching workload, I think this is something that each state governments are deciding how they do it. Even today, I think workload is looked at differently by different state governments. I know it's a major concern. It's a very serious issue. I recognize that, but that's something that governments will have to take a call.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. So we will close our Q&A here. And I really express my regret to all the participants who have posted their question, but because of the paucity and limitation related to time, we can't ask every question which is posted here. May I now invite my colleague and Associate Dean of Humanities, University of Mumbai, Professor Dr. Manchari Kamath, to give vote of thanks. Madam, over to you.
Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sir, may I request if you can stop the share screen now?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, madam, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Professor Shukla. And with this, we come to the close of the second session of this workshop. And I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Rajendra Kumar Joshi for presenting to us, giving us an overview of how 2 academic programs can be pursued simultaneously along with twinning dual and joint degrees. I think the takeaways from your talk particularly is this, that the NEP at the end of it looks at internationalization of higher education, as you said, and this will certainly help the universities and the colleges aspire for global standards. And I think the earlier session, as Professor Gowrisha and this, very clearly shows how the NEP and its, what it says aligns itself in a way that this transition will become smooth. For instance, the interdisciplinary approach the multiple entry and exit options, the way the UG and PG programs are transformed, and above all, the academic bank of credits, I think wonderfully aligns itself and helps in the smooth transition, of course, with initial challenges for internationalization of higher education. I would also like to say that we really appreciate that the UGC has very clear-cut guidelines and regulations on this road ahead, especially with regard to students pursuing 2 academic programs simultaneously, as well as guidelines for collaboration with foreign universities. And I think the big takeaway for students is that there is a lot of choice. There are lots of options now for students in terms of the subjects they offer, as well as where they would like, if they want to go for the dual joint or twinning degrees. Especially, I think, in terms of career progression, it would certainly help a large number of Indian students. I would also like to say what comes out of your presentation, Dr. Joshi, is that so far we have observed, especially in the last few years, that there is an increasing number of students going to Western universities, Indian students, especially to the US, UK, Singapore, Australia, China, and the others. I think what this is going to help in the next few years, and I think something which we've been looking forward, is to see more international students, the other way around. I mean, this will give them smooth access to the Indian higher education institutions, colleges, as well as universities. And I think that will also be useful for NAC and other international rankings. It will also help foreign institutions come here in India. And I think what you and Professor Gowrisha has explained in these 2 presentations, I think is really going to help all the colleges here, the autonomous as well as the affiliated colleges and the university departments, gear up to face the challenges and to implement the NEP 2020. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
Presentation.
Thanks for the opportunity. Nice talking to you. Thank you very much.
Since it's the closure for the day's workshop, I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University of Mumbai, Professor Suhas Pednekar, the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, for their consistent support for this workshop. On behalf of all of us, I thank Professor Shanti of the UGC HRDC, Director, for organizing it, and for her entire office staff, as well as to Dr. Prashant Naik. And special gratitude to Professor Smita Shukla, the IQAC coordinator, for coordinating this workshop. I also take the opportunity to thank all the deans of all the faculties, the associate deans, members of the Management Council, Academic Council, and the Senate, the principals of all the autonomous and affiliated colleges of our university, the heads of the university departments and directors of centers, the Board of Studies members, the university IQAC, as well as all my colleagues, the teachers from the university departments and the colleges who have joined us today, the deputy registrars and assistant registrars and the staff of our university and the TICT staff. Thank you very much for participating in today's workshop. And we are now going to meet tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 p.m. for the 3rd session of this workshop. So thank you, and I wish you all a pleasant
Thank you very
evening.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Any announcement, Dr. Shukla?
No, madam. So we can close the meeting with the permission. Tomorrow
at 2 o'clock we have to join, right?
Yes.
And those who have registered for tomorrow sessions, workshop, okay, if not, they can still register if they have not registered for tomorrow.
Okay. So the form is opened again.
Form is opened.
So we'll put it across also on our relevant.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.